Yo, welcome to another edition of the Yonkō Table. And actually, you know what? This is our premiere episode of season one. This is the season one premiere. I'm your host today, Grandmaster Hoop. And with me, as always, is my fellow Yonkō Table member, DrJaceAttorney. How you doing today, Dr. Jace?
I'm so glad you asked, Grandmaster Hoop. You know, it's very odd to be on this side of the table with you at the helm, manning this ship, and with no shenanigans going on so far. I like it. I like it.
I like it too.
I've been doing great. I've been doing great. I was going to a lot of hearings earlier in the day. I'm still in my attorney getup and whatnot, but I'm glad to be here on this table talk of the Yonkō Table. So I'm ready. I'm hungry. Let's get fed, man.
Yes, let's get fed. And, of course, you're hungry for our big discussion today. Today is, again, our premiere episode. I'm running a tight-knit ship, and we are going to go ahead and kick things off with an anime roundtable discussion. And here we're just going to be talking about the overall impact of anime on the world. And for those who don't know what an anime is, that is a Japanese produced animated show, usually based on a manga or based on whatever source material, and it has kind of taken the world by storm. Wouldn't you agree, Dr. Jace?
Taken the world by storm. I feel like that's an understatement to a degree. It's ingrained in our culture at this point, you know?
Yes.
Like, we have kids, youngins, growing up on a lot of this. When do we get, well, I guess we'll go into it once we start going into, like, the general topics. But yeah, I feel like this younger generation kind of has it made, because anime's like, as soon as they turn on the TV, bam, Crunchyroll, you got Hulu, you got HBO Max, you got Funimation, there's so many options. Back then, we had Toonami in the afternoon.
Toonami. Yes, Toonami after school.
Yeah.
I think, as if I'm getting what you're saying, we laid the groundwork, because it wasn't always like this. I don't think we could call it a world phenom back in our day of, late 90s, early 2000s. I think we definitely laid the groundwork and built the culture up to what these kids have today. So, shout out to us. And when I say us, of course, we have some other members here of the Yonkō Table who are going to discuss with us in depth about anime as a whole and how it started to where it is now. So let's go ahead and introduce the rest of our panel today. We have returning Supernova, Rose the Crafter. Rose the Crafter, how you doing?
I'm doing good. I have a full plate. I'm hungry. Let's eat.
All right. Judging by your background, I can tell you're heavily anime influenced. Am I correct?
A tad bit.
Okay. A tad. Thank you, Rose the Crafter. Up next, we have DrMondo, MD. DrMondo, MD, welcome back to the table. How you doing?
Doing great, Grandmaster Hoop, and I'm hungry to talk about some anime here.
All right. And hey, congratulations on your MD, sir. Thank you for doing all that hard work for everybody out there in the world, taking care of people.
Thank you.
All right. Now, Dr. Jace, we have the most newcomers I ever think we ever had in a single episode. So
we do. We have three. We have three this time.
Three. We're forever growing. This is like our pirate alliance, right? Is that where we are right now?
We're getting there. Pirate Alliance, that's at least triple digit numbers, but we're close.
Okay. All right, cool. I think it's deserving for our next three guests. Oh gosh, who do we here? Let me go ahead. Let me introduce Kame Chris. Kame Chris, go ahead and introduce yourself. Tell us what brings you here to the table. Kame Chris, how you doing?
What's up? I'm Kame Chris, and I've been, pretty big anime nerd since I was probably like 4, and I've just always been really into video games, PC games. So this is just, my topic I'd like to talk about all day long that nobody else gets. So yeah, this is definitely my playfield, and I can't wait to go ahead and get into it.
All right. Well, Kame Chris, Dr. Jason, I know you very personally.
Yeah.
You better come with that fire today. That's what I expect.
The passion.
Okay.
Oh, it's there. Oh, it's there.
Okay.
Let's depend where it goes. We'll see.
Okay. All right. I'm excited to have you. Thank you, Kame Chris. Up next is Tevin the Fifth. Tevin the Fifth. Go ahead and introduce yourself. How you doing, Tevin the Fifth?
What's up? I'm good. My palm's a little sweaty. I'm a little nervous, but I'm happy to be here.
I know you've been egging me to come on the show for quite some time.
Because we do this on a regular basis. I love anime. I keep up with all the most popular TV shows, and I'm a certified half nerd. So I'm happy to be here.
All right. And I know you got some fire in your belly too that you can come spitting today. So
I'm ready.
be ready.
I'm ready.
All right. And then lastly, we have NinoDesplazado. Nino, how you doing today?
I'm doing really well. I'm excited for this discussion today. I've been a nerd for anime and animation, and I really like it as a vehicle for storytelling. So I'm just ready to talk. Let's get into it.
All right. Well, Dr. Jace, it's a full house today. It's a full ship. 3 new supernovas along with 2 returning supernovas. I think with that said, we're ready to kick this thing into high gear.
Not so fast.
Of course.
Who's there? Who is this?
Back from wherever I was before to invade your ship. It is I, Hooperlino, who is not a supernova, and damn sure not a Yonkō member. It is I, Hooperlino, an admiral of the World Navy, here to make sure that Naruto isn't talked about more than 10 minutes, and my favorite animes are given the right amount of screen time and talk time.
Hey, Hooperlino.
Hey, everybody.
Why is it always when I'm running things that you appear?
I don't know. There's something about the other guy that I think he has his forces and his first mate a little more intimidating than yours. So I just get on the ship easier.
Wow. All right. Well, Dr. Jace is going to give me crap for this later, letting an
It always happens when you're leading the mast, man.
This is only my second time doing this. Whatever.
Don't make this a pattern, but I guess we will have to let this admiral on board, and we don't have a choice. We'll just have to carry on and see what his input is as well.
I mean, at the end of the day, the pirates outnumber him. Granted, he's got the power of like a couple of ships and whatnot and crews. So, all right, I think we can hold our own. Against the admiral. I think with our newcomers and our returners, we should be all right. So
good luck.
All right, whatever. All right, here we go, everyone. Let's go ahead and get things started. Again, the topic of today is anime. All right, and being as how we are a podcast based on One Piece, it's been a long time coming for us to actually deep dive and talk about anime.
Or One Piece in general.
Or One Piece in general, for that matter. But, anime has, like you said, Dr. Jace, has become such a culture and such a part of kind of like every day. I don't think you could go down the street without one person at least knowing how to refer to an anime or a manga. And even if they don't know that it's an anime or manga, I think they can make some kind of connection to anime as a whole. And that wasn't always the case. Like, go back, I don't know, 15, 17 years, 20 years, man. It's been a long time.
Yeah.
So I think, the best way to kind of go and start this thing is, how do we get introduced to anime? And when I say that, I feel there were shows that came out that were not publicly known as anime, but they were Japanese produced. They came over from Japan and they found their way to American televisions, and they really hooked audiences. I don't know how, but here we are, and it's blown up. So I'm gonna go ahead, Dr. Jace. Growing up, what show was an anime that you didn't even know was an anime? Like, what really hooked you? What show were you watching that you look back now and realize that's a Japanese produced, that's an anime, that's a character driven story? What comes to mind?
I would say it's probably a mix between two rather than just one particular anime. And it's probably a lot of people's first introduction. But for me, it was a mix between Dragon Ball Z and Pokemon. And at the time, I mean, I just saw it as another action cartoon, which, I mean, we had some pretty decent action cartoons going, you know, growing up. We had our Batman Beyonds, we had our Static Shocks, Teen Titans a little bit later. But I think early on, that was like one of the few cartoons I remember seeing where it was just devoted to action. Dragon Ball Z more than Pokemon. But it's funny because the earliest memory I ever had of anime, it was kind of like a negative one in a way, but looking back, it's kind of hilarious. It was I used to go after school to, I guess it was like some friend of a friend of my mother's that used to babysit me, right? And she would let us watch TV. And it was like me and like these two other boys and like three other girls or whatever, and we would each have a day where we could turn on the TV and, you know, watch a show that everyone can watch. And by complete accident, I had no idea what it was, but I turned on Cartoon Network and they were playing Dragon Ball Z, and it was the scene where Goku is slapping the crap out of Frieza. It was that specific scene. And mind you, there was blood, right? You have Frieza bleeding purple blood. Yeah, Goku bleeding is red blood, Saiyan blood, whatever. And I'd never seen that before in a cartoon. I'm like, oh, blood in a cartoon. Oh, what is this? I better change it. And it's funny because the mom of the person that was taking care of us over there, she was super religious, like really, really religious. She came in there. She got so pissed that there was like, she basically said what we were watching was demonic. And she looked at me and said, you know, if you keep watching that, you're going to go to hell, right?
Well, look at you now.
Look at me now. I'm one of the most parasitic occupations on the planet. But no, like I remember that. And then afterwards, I'm like, wow. She really went apeshit on me over that cartoon. I want to watch more of it. And I kept watching it, and that I slowly started to, you know, put that and then Pokemon together, because I noticed, oh yeah, when they're talking, their lips aren't matching to, like, you know, what they're saying. Like not 100%, right? So yeah. I would say that was around the time I started like watching anime in general, and then over the years, I slowly realized, oh yeah, that's it's called anime. It's not from the US. And yeah, I would say that was my first general introduction.
I think a lot of people would say Dragon Ball Z is definitely one of their earlier introductions. Rose the Crafter, would you agree? Is this kind of how you got started into this world?
It is, but interesting enough, it actually started with Dragon Ball with me, and it actually started with manga or manga, however you want to pronounce it. And for me, I grew up in North Carolina, but I was actually born in Lynchburg, Virginia, like the Hill City, the name of it itself. It's a reason I'm not still there. So, but shout out to the public library that they had. The funny thing is that before I even knew what anime or manga was, I actually went into a public library in elementary school. So I used to hang out there. And I saw a book. And, you know, I saw a book and I look, it's pictures, it's panels. I have no clue what I'm looking at, but it's Kid Goku. And they had only about 6 to 10 total editions, and I ran through them like ASAP. Like I checked out every one I could. And it was all over the place, from Red Ribbon Army art to even to Demon King Piccolo art. And so the interesting thing is that I read that and was interested in that story. And then Toonami and Dragon Ball Z came. And so like for me, I'd already saw a glimpse of Goku as a kid. And so when I jumped into DBZ, it's funny, I was just talking to somebody else about this. He's like 10 years older than me, and he loves Dragon Ball Z as well. It's huge, and it's big for a reason. It's no shame in enjoying something so popular. But I actually got to see that, and it didn't take me until years later to realize that that's an anime and that's a manga, or that's a manga. But I was reading it before I even saw the actual cartoon and didn't even think about it. So that's why it's so big to me. That's why I love it so much. Super can use some work, but I still love it.
It's that connectivity piece that people didn't realize was there with the manga and the anime, that all this has a source material. I want to go real quick around the same question, but let's do it rapid fire. So just go down the line. What shows come to mind with your earliest introductions to anime? And y'all chime in and you can speak a little bit about it. So go ahead. Anybody can go ahead and hop in that.
Zoids.
Zoids.
Ooh,
all right.
Not enough people talk about Zoids.
Not enough
mean,
credit goes to Zoids.
Liger Zero.
Not enough credit, and I feel like people don't even realize it's an anime. It's like
Yeah.
Because you mostly
And it's a-
see the 3D part, like throughout the fights.
and it's just like, I don't know, it's just 1,000% a mech, anime hair, just adventure anime, and just forgotten about it when we have these conversations.
And also, it first didn't air on Toonami. It was like 6 a.m. in the morning on Cartoon Network.
That was the
So-
other thing. Like
That's
Toonami
right.
kind of got like, oh yeah, like that's kind of the anime platform for the network. The 6:30 slot in the morning, definitely not so much.
That's where you got like your Sailor Moons too. Like early morning, right before school.
Forgotten about.
Oh, you were watching Sailor. I mean, no, nothing against Sailor Moon. I like Tuxedo Mask, but I wasn't really watching Sailor
So
Moon.
you've
Yo,
never seen
man.
it. So you've never seen the episode.
No, that I did not say that. I just wasn't big on Sailor Moon.
All right.
I mean, but think about it. Back then, it was one of those shows where, like, if you were a guy, it was like, oh, you watch Sailor Moon? Oh, you're a sissy. Where's your Dragon Ball Z, man? Don't you want to see people like scream and power up? I
Which
remember
is-
that as a conversation. Now it's like, no, man, everyone watches Sailor Moon. What everyone watches Madoka Magica. Like it's crazy.
Never seen it.
Chris, I see you looking over there like you got something on your tongue. Kame Chris, you got a show that comes to mind?
Yeah, I'll say for me it was definitely Sailor Moon. I actually was gonna say I think it came on around the same time. I want to say maybe Captain Planet was like right after it. Or
Oh
something.
my god.
Yeah, I used to have to wake up really early sometimes. So yeah, I used to
They're
watch
kinda similar.
up early in the morning, and then I was like, okay, Toonami, like Dragon Ball Z. I was like, this is my stuff, like the fighting and everything. But then honestly, I probably was way more into Yu-Gi-Oh at the time than I was Dragon Ball Z. I was probably like really like I have cards like still to this
WB.
day, and just they sit in the sleeves. Like I was really obsessed with Yu-Gi-Oh. So for the most part, I'll say Yu-Gi-Oh was like my big like how I became obsessed. But then as the Boo saga came out with Dragon Ball Z, I'm like, okay, this is getting a lot better. Like Androids was good and Cell was good, but I started really getting into it with the Boo saga, and then it was like after that, I guess I got into manga a little bit in like middle school. But yeah, I would say for the most part, Dragon Ball, Sailor Moon, and Yu-Gi-Oh were like my big three that I can remember, as a kid actually watching and being like, oh my god, I really love the show.
I feel okay. So we got Dragon Ball, Sailor Moon. Those are the commonalities I'm hearing. DrMondo, do you agree, or did you have something else that comes to mind?
Mine's also kind of a mix because Zoids, I was a huge fan. I used to buy the toys and everything. Dragon Ball Z for sure. Like I was obsessed as a little kid with Dragon Ball Z. My room was basically filled with Dragon Ball Z stuff, and I just wanted to become a Super Saiyan. That was my dream when I was a little kid.
It's tougher than it looks.
But the other anime that I really liked, and I saw it after Dragon Ball Z, and it kind of like reaffirmed my views when it came to anime that I loved it. Yu Yu Hakusho. It's like I used to love Yu Yu Hakusho when it used to come on Maybe not to the same level of Dragon Ball Z, because Dragon Ball Z was just groundbreaking. It's like, oh my god, look at these fights. But then it's like, oh, here you got this guy just died, and he's, oh look, there are demons now and all that. But yeah, I would say Yu Yu Hakusho, Dragon Ball Z, Zoids. I also watched Yu-Gi-Oh! And Pokemon from time to time. Although I wasn't that big on Pokemon, but yeah, the other three for sure.
Tevin the Fifth. I see you itching over there too.
No, I'm excited. Well, my love of anime came in like 3 stages. Just like you guys said, this is like before I knew anime was anime, and this is even before Toonami. Dragon Ball and Sailor Moon used to be on the same channel. So I can't remember what channel it was, but this was before Toonami. And then later on in life, we had like this little cable box where this is like before On Demand was On Demand. And there was this show called Pre-Tier. I don't know if you guys ever heard of it, but it was like some 12. Yeah, it's very low key. It's very low key. It was my first time realizing, oh, this is Japanese anime. But the cable box had On Demand, and they released 3 episodes like every 6 months. And so I was
God.
It wasn't popular. Nobody cared. So, that was like my first time like thirsting for like, oh, it's something, I argue with my mom about this a lot of times because she'll see me watching anime. She's like, why are you watching cartoons? I'm like, Mom, this is not cartoons, this is anime. It's a very, very big difference. But then when I really started to get into it, my first real 2, also, Digimon is better than Pokemon. I'm just gonna just throw that out there.
Facts.
Ooh.
Facts.
Ooh.
Big facts.
The anime for sure.
Just the anime.
Yeah.
But my first anime were Yu Yu Hakusho and Inuyasha. I love the ending themes of Inuyasha. That's what kind of drew me into Fukai More's, the Shinjutsu no Utawa. And then I started watching Yu Yu Hakusho more, but I still love them both to death today.
You were staying up late on a school night for Inuyasha.
Always.
I remember me and my brother.
I used to watch it too. Same. All of those.
My brother and I, who I lost him a long time. I mean, I didn't lose him, but my brother and I, we haven't spoken in forever, but we could not stay up that late to watch Inuyasha.
I used to set an alarm. I was so hungry for it. I would set an alarm just to wake up, watch it, and I would go right back to sleep every night.
You're dedicated. You're dedicated.
Yeah.
Yeah. Speaking of brothers,
Sorry.
before you go, I gotta interrupt Nino. Speaking of brothers, yeah, growing up, I mean, I haven't spoken to my brother, in so long. But growing up, when we used to watch TV and stuff, our dad didn't let us watch Dragon Ball Z. He thought it was too violent. So he loved Zoids, so that was one of the first ones. He hated Digimon, but didn't think it was too violent. So definitely gravitated towards the less violent animes before being able to watch Dragon Ball Z. R.I.P. to my brother.
Yeah, I could chime in on that. My dad too, very much he liked Digimon. I don't think he liked Digimon, but he liked making fun of my brother and I. He'd be like, Ty, it's about friendship, Ty. And then like Pokemon, he loved Brock. He thought Brock was the greatest character.
Best. He was the greatest, easily.
I mean, he was a horn dog for sure. I don't know. And he didn't really do much as far as battles, but I digress. NinoDesplazado, can you close us out on this topic? What introduced you to this world?
Well, I think I'm like maybe like 1 or 2, 3 years younger than like the mean of this group, but so I grew up with this without like realizing it. Like I was in the daycare and my parents didn't let me like watch anything violent when I was younger. So Pokemon was like one of the main ones. They said Gengar's too scary, no Pokemon, until like I had to convince my uncle from Canada to buy me Pokemon Emerald later on. But so they didn't know this, but I was like 3 years old and I went to like a daycare, and I'm so sure that at 6 o'clock in the morning I was the first one there. They're like, oh, you can watch whatever you want, like they used to call it in Spanish muñequitos, and you can watch that los muñequitos, go do whatever you want, eat your cereal. And they just put on Sailor Moon and then Dragon Ball Z. I clearly remember watching Dragon Ball Z, like people getting like the snot beat out of them, and I was like 3 years old and I was like, wow. And then Sailor Moon would come up right after and I'll be like, wow, this girl's transforming. Oh my god! And then I would just completely block it out until like the very next day when I would watch the next episode.
So you would just run into things at daycare, watching. Hey y'all, we watching Dragon Ball Z this morning.
No! It was just me. It was me and this other kid. And they didn't want to watch Dragon Ball Z. They wanted to watch Sailor Moon. So I was like kind of stuck. We were like, okay, she would watch Dragon Ball Z and I would watch Sailor Moon with them because we were the first ones there, and we were like, oh, we gotta watch these, but we don't want to watch it alone. And so yeah, that's how things were. That's how things were back then.
Fair enough.
Can I say one more thing since we're on Sailor Moon real quick?
Go ahead.
It's one more thing. The English version of Sailor Moon, the final battle with Serena versus Queen Beryl, is honestly one of the best dubbed anime moments of all time. It has a great little soundtrack behind it. Just check it out.
Wait, what are you talking about? What are you talking about? Like the original dub or the new dub?
The original dub.
Oh, the original. Oh, that's hot trash. I'm sorry.
Oh gosh.
Oh, here we go.
I didn't think
table's
Sailor Moon would be
getting
the
hot.
thing to spark it up, but if y'all gotta duke it out real quick.
I recently just rewatched Sailor Moon with like my partner, and the new dub is fantastic in English, yeah. But then we tried watching the original dub, hot trash. That
Right.
I have to give credit because these dub artists they were doing things like way before anyone like really cared about them. Before like this was like an actual career you could go into, like to being like a dubbing VA. But like that lady who was doing Sailor Moon. No, that lady that was doing Sailor Moon sounded like an old lady being like, oh, that's exactly how they sounded like.
I have the moment. I have those 3 minutes in my brain verbatim. Like I can say the whole thing all the way through. It has this good. It has a song called "Carry On" in the background. And actually, I guess it's just my personal opinion, but the Japanese version, granted, the English dub took out a lot of the gory stuff at that time for kids, but it had like this awesome just soundtrack in the back, and it was just super epic compared. I think that's the one Sailor Moon moment that's better than the Japanese one. It's like, I don't want to embarrass myself. It's like, I hear you, Luna. I am not afraid anymore. She's like, "Come shot, babe. Power, power." And the music comes in the background. Here I'm standing in the light. No, just me.
Yeah, I will say the soundtrack is what kept Sailor Moon together.
Dog.
Listen, I hate to cut y'all off, but you bring up a really good point, and it kind of leads into my next topic. I think, and I watched a video on this too, was that, with these shows coming over to the U.S., one thing that they had to get across was how different they would be to your regular morning cartoons. And one thing that they led in with was kick-ass theme songs. And so all these shows that we all said, I can't think of one show that didn't have a good theme song. I'm not big on Sailor Moon, but I will always recognize "Fighting Evil by Daylight," whatever.
Yeah.
And we could go down the line. So that leads into my next topic, our fandom. We are now starting to recognize this quality of show is on a different caliber than your regular old Disney Channel and Nickelodeon. So I want to know, was there a show that really solidified, solidified your fandom? As far as I'm committed to these shows, I hear a new one's coming out. Let me go ahead and give it a try, because I know that these are a different caliber, and you know where to find them too. We mentioned Toonami, we mentioned Kids WB. We now know where to find these shows. So was there a show or a moment that definitely defined that I'm gonna give my time to these type of shows?
I'll go first.
Okay, sure.
Yep. Yep. I'm going first.
Have to let the Admiral do
DrMondo,
it.
but that's fine.
He demanded.
Yep, I'm first. I'm the Admiral. I go first. I'm gonna give you two moments here. Moment one, I think, came with one of these group of shows we were mentioning. I think it came in Yu-Gi-Oh! I don't think it was a specific moment, but the Battle City arc, let me tell you, that was just like That was
top tier Yu-Gi-Oh.
I was in front of the TV
That was the best.
every day, 11:30. I was not missing an episode of that. I mean the episode when Yugi is facing Strings next to the river, and Yugi gets himself into the unwinnable scenario. Like they just said, like, hey, this move is unwinnable. You can't win. This is it. Sorry, you're going to lose. And I'm like, damn, how are you gonna get himself out of this one? He can't. It's unwinnable. And then Yugi, I don't even know, he does it. Somehow he does it. Like he just like,
It's the heart of the cards, man.
no, he believed in the heart of the cards. He used the one move he could do. He didn't make him lose life points. He couldn't do that, so he made him like lose his deck.
He's up
Moment
against
was
an Egyptian god card.
He was
I
against
know.
Slifer.
Yeah. Yeah, I remember that.
Oh, the slide. Okay.
Oh.
I remember
all
that
those
one.
things.
Slifer, the Sky Dragon.
yes, the and the amoeba, the blue thing.
The slime.
Revival Jam. Revival Jam.
Yeah.
Jam.
Yeah.
That was peak Yu-Gi-Oh. Peak Yu-Gi-Oh.
Just like, yo, the Battle City arc was just so good. Like, I just felt so hooked. And then to fast forward to a moment where I was like, oh shit, like anime is really the shit. When One Piece came out, I thought One Piece was like interesting. You know, I thought the characters were like somewhat cool. But the moment that Sanji in the Barati arc, when they like first start recruiting Sanji, and Sanji actually has nothing to do with Sanji, but Zolo or Zoro.
Oh, God, you
the
call him
four kids
Zolo?
stuff. Zolo.
I
and the
mean-
four kids stuff.
Here's the thing. I feel like I heard Zolo stuck into my mind, and I'm only a manga reader, so it's like for some reason Zolo out loud sounds right to me. But anyways, when Hawkeye Mihawk shows up and he just like obliterates Zoro with a knife. With a simple knife. And it's like, and then they're like, yo, by the way, there's 6 other dudes just as strong as me. You guys aren't even like nowhere near being able to touch us. That was like the first time I was like mind blown. I was like, wait a second, like how big is this world? Like what are we talking about here? If there's like 6 other dudes just as strong as this guy, and he beat Zoro with a knife. That was the first moment I was like, yo, this world of One Piece is just like something else. And like, I think it showed me the potential that like, that these stories can have. Like, you know, it's more than just like cool action and like, you know, fun fight scenes and stuff like that. It's like, oh shit, they can tell like a pretty epic story. And I mean, One Piece never disappointed since. So those 2 moments, pretty big.
I can concur. That's a pretty... So that Barati arc is a pretty solid arc for One Piece. It just seemed kind of jokey at first with Buggy the Clown. For anyone familiar with One Piece, which I think we all are. No, Nino? So do you got a moment that stands out for you that solidified your fandom? I bet you we could talk for days about One Piece. We are a One Piece based, podcast.
I mean, I'm the only one the only moments that I really remember from One Piece was like that weird Chopper arc where they're in the snow and then somehow he grows. I don't know how that works.
All right, just stop.
No, but and I know that the crocodile or whatever.
You don't have to talk about.
No,
One
I
Piece.
know. I don't have to talk about One Piece, but I'm just saying that's all I know. But I think the moment that stood out for me was probably the first arc of Boruto's dad.
Oh my! Can you?
Yes.
Don't call it that.
We gotta get hit with the kids today.
That's disrespectful.
So what do you call it? The Island of Waves or the Isle of Waves. The Land of Waves arc was actually one of the best arcs probably in all of like anime and all of manga. Just seeing the growth that like Naruto and Sasuke and Kakashi had, and then their relationship with like Zabuza and Haku was so memorable. And then with that fight scene where they're fighting on the bridge, they everything about that. I'm getting chills just thinking about it. When Naruto like finally unleashes like part of the Nine Tails. Yeah, and then when Kakashi finally reveals his secret move and his eye. And there were just so many good things about that. I remember watching that as a kid. I was like, "Oh, I'm gonna watch all of it." And then, then I realized that most of it was filler, and I was like, "Oh no."
I'm gonna hop in because that arc is what I was gonna say solidified my fandom, but not specifically the bridge scene, but the scene where Kakashi gets captured. So for all the Naruto fans out there, when Kakashi, yes, thank you, Dr. Mondo. When Kakashi gets captured and Naruto, he remembers his oath of pain. And he ties his headband. He's like, Sasuke, you ready? And I guess they whispered a plan to each other. Or maybe
there's telepathically, they knew.
Because when two people trade blows, they can.
No. What he felt that it wasn't Naruto when.
Whatever. I don't care because that's the part of it that I loved is that we had no idea what the hell they were thinking, and then Sasuke, shuriken, windmill of shadows, demon shuriken, and then he threw it and he missed Zabuza, and then Zabuza caught the other shuriken, and then the one that he dodged, they're like, oh damn, Kakashi's captured. And then boom, Naruto pops out of the smoke and he's like, take this. Ew. Oh my god. I lost it. What?
I was just gonna add, as a big Naruto hater, that was pretty cool.
Yes.
And I mean, to bring back it around to my Naruto hate, it also peaked in that arc. It was never better. It was never better than that arc.
Debatable, but it's fine.
The pain arc, maybe. I don't know. I don't really have much else.
The Chunin exams.
I don't think he likes tournament.
Lasted a little too long, and tournament arcs. Please tell me you have a second so I can just go off on tournament arcs.
No, I did not create a talking point for tournament arcs, but tournament arcs are a big part of anime. Listen, man. Listen, we are, dipping our toes here. We're giving people the foundation. We could do a whole podcast on who had the best tournament arc. To be honest,
I think it's Yu, but Yu did it twice.
It's Yu.
No, it's Hunter x Hunter. I'm sorry.
It's Hunter x Hunter. Completely agree.
Which one?
Either way, it's the same author. Only one author knows how to do tournament arcs good, and he wrote 3 of them.
That's true. Yeah, he wrote all of them.
So many.
Yeah, we're arguing about the same guy. I mean, yeah, that's true. Oh, do we have another Supernova?
No, this is just Romeo who wants to chime in, but I'm gonna let someone else go ahead. Dr. Mondo, you got a solidifying fandom moment?
Now, when it comes to like early morning anime, for sure, the Battle City arc at Yu-Gi-Oh! Like every time I was like, well, Yugi's gonna lose here. How the hell is he gonna come back from this? And then suddenly, the heart of the cards, aka plot armor, came in. But at that time, I was too young to know what plot armor was. So it was like, oh my god, he did this. And obviously, I was obsessed with Yu-Gi-Oh! So I used to buy all the cards. And then I was like, all the effects that came out on television, I was like, oh, they don't exist. It's just on the show. But then, for sure, the Land of Waves arc, the first battle with Zabuza, because it's the mystery regarding each Naruto character. It was like, okay, so first of all, you knew Sasuke's entire clan was killed. You knew it was his brother, and you were like, oh my god, I want to meet his brother. I want to see where this goes. Then Kakashi shows a Sharingan, and you're like, what the hell? Like, I thought Sasuke was the only one who was supposed to have this, and he doesn't even have this. And it's like, and then the teamwork between Naruto and Sasuke, seeing how Naruto suddenly goes from the idiot that they were portraying to be, is like, wow, he can actually hold his own. And all this, like the strategy behind everything, how they would win the battles, it really reeled me into Naruto. And then obviously in the second battle on the bridge when Kurama finally came out, but we didn't know his name was Kurama then. It was like, whoa, this looks so freaking badass. The part of the bridge was just pure badass. But the first part was like, okay, this is the battle. There's more to being just strong. There's something intricate in it. But yeah, I would say those were my two hooking moments into anime. I did like One Piece, although I kind of dropped it off. But then I picked it up again way later. Way later.
If that's not the story of everybody with One Piece, then I don't know what it is.
And love.
It happened to me. Yeah,
Yeah, definitely happened to me too.
Yeah, I mean, me myself, I'm a huge One Piece fan, and I remember, I think I dropped it like pre-time skip. Like this was like early. Yeah, it was really early.
Alabasta. Was it Alabasta?
It was a little. Actually, I think it was because that's where the anime stopped.
Chopper's art.
Yes.
I dropped
Alabasta.
Dry.
It was.
Dry.
It was because with 4Kids, and this is the thing that a lot of these animes tried to do, especially if they dubbed. They would change a lot of the source material into what was in Japan, and some did it to small degrees, and some did it bigger than others. I think One Piece was probably like the biggest culprit into what they changed.
That lollipop on Sanji. That's
what?
His name.
You know
That's
what?
not even the worst. The worst
It's not
is
even
that
the worst. But because
I was gonna say,
go ahead.
Nami uses like a rubber dagger instead of a real dagger to like stab up in the Arlong Park arc. And I don't even know where she gets the blood. I don't even know if she uses like blood, but like fakes.
It was probably like tomato or ketchup.
Yeah. Like it must have been a tomato. Just like,
it most likely was. They fit in a lot of weird stuff. Like, I'll give the editors props for even drawing this in the animation. Like, instead of pistols, you had like these weird little concoction guns that were like, it was like a hammer. It was like a weird ass spring hammer. And I'm like, yo, this is mad inconvenient. How are you gonna kill someone like this? But I mean, or like
4Kids was riding high off of Pokemon, being like, yo, we brought Pokemon to the masses. We did our thing. Pokemon's a phenom now. Like, we got this. One Piece. Clearly what's up next, and they just blew it. Gee, they just fumbled the bag at the 1 yard line.
The one thing they did not blow, though, was that killer intro One Piece rap. Grandmaster Hoop agrees with me 100%.
No, and you know this. Absolutely not. I see Kame Chris, because you, Dr. Jace, like playing this foolish game where you think that theme song is the greatest theme song of all time.
How is it again? It is the greatest theme song of all time.
Hooperlino might probably agree with you about that theme song, but I do not.
It's really good. It's really good. The problem is the original is better, and that's the only problem. The Japanese version's better.
Oh yes. What is it? We are on a cruise. We are. Stop it, Tevin the Fifth. Stop
His name is Toro. He's like a samurai in the LADY.
There you go. He's got it.
Sanji's cooking, Chopper's doctorate. Are you serious?
The Chopper's doctrine.
He took a bite of gum.
Enough. Because what were they gonna do once they got to Nico Robin? Sanji's cooking, Chopper's doctorate, and Nico's archaeology. What? No. You're just going to keep going?
That sounded good. That sounded fine.
No, it didn't. It did not sound good. You get all the way to Jinbei. What are you going to say?
And Jinbei's Fishman karateing.
rolls right off the tongue.
Exactly. No. It's superb.
Absolutely not.
J. Cole's going to put that in one of his verses. Watch.
Shut the hell up. Shut up.
That would be wild.
No. Rose the Crafter, you got a fandom moment for yourself? It's solidified. You're invested.
The big three, one of the big three DB was for me. Saiyan Arc, I love the Saiyan Arc personally. Saiyan Arc is what hooked me. But just like y'all mentioned, like I was watching Yu-Gi-Oh! Hooked to my seat. I was hooked to my seat off Digimon. Like I used to run through all the Saturday morning cartoons until there were no more Saturday morning cartoons. Until they got to the point where some of the, but Pokemon, all of them. And I think for me, it became more real for me when I started connecting it to the outside world. So I don't want to jump ahead too much, but the games, the cards, the fact that I could interact with my classmates, my schoolmates. I mean, trading cards, we barely knew how to play, and we had cards. We collected Yu-Gi-Oh cards, and we battled each other.
We made up our own rules.
We made up our own rules every single time. In video games, Budokai, Dragon Ball Budokai for me. Oh my god, that was my Budokai. I'll never forget. That was my fandom moment because I got the PS2. I got the PS2, and that was the first game I got for the PS2 with Budokai. And I played the heck out of that game. And I played with all my friends in the same art. I remember they tried to recreate it, and it probably looks a little crappy now, but I was like, this is amazing. And so those games, all the Storm games, made me jump back into the shows and start like digging deeper into it. So it's just a compilation of moments. But the Saiyan arc for Dragon Ball Z was it for me. I thought it was just cool that Piccolo and Goku teamed up. The original baddie Piccolo, which they kind of watered down. I was like, man, these guys are they're cool. Yeah. Shot right through Goku. And then like as Raditz is dying, they think they're fine, and Raditz like, I've sent a message. That's not really said. A message has been sent, and it's Vegeta, and then you get that whole iconic
over 9,000.
Yeah, the iconic over 9,000. So, and the farmer. Shout out to the farmer. That's the
farmer with the shotgun, the realest one. The realest one. He was the first person to make a stand against Raditz, and you gotta give him props. He did his best.
He jumped up to a
just
power
a
level.
Simple farmer with a shotgun.
So give props to him.
I guess props due, props given. So I like how we are talking about the card games, the video games, because the culture is now building. It's here, and we're getting memorabilia, we're getting action figures, we're getting posters. I don't think we had any movie releases, but the culture of anime is now building. And I'd like to say we're probably here, right, talking about Naruto. That came out US in like 2007. So we're like pushing into the 2010s and whatnot, but still anime is not as big as it could be, because there is what I guess some could call a counterculture, or yes, a counterculture, and thus it creates somewhat of a subversive culture. Anime is now kind of taboo. If you're watching certain shows, you're considered a nerd, you're considered a geek, you're looked down upon for having this fandom. And again, this is just because people are ignorant to, how quality of a show it is. And so I want us to talk about what growing up in that subversive culture was like. Like, did we had to hide it? Were there moments of revelations when you found out someone else was a fan? Did you notice moments where people were hiding their fandom and you were like, I know you a fan? So, anybody could kick this off. I know a lot of us went to school together too, so we all can probably speak about it.
I can jump in real quick. I have an interesting take on this, because I know I won't get it in if I leave it for the last one. But I think that when I was growing up, I know I got bullied because of anime and stuff like that. But I don't think I got bullied because I watched it. I think I got bullied specifically because I was doing that dumb shit, with all around it. And it's like, yeah, Naruto running. I would be in the middle of the halls, and then I see my friend or they see me, and they'd be like, "Oh, 5-prong seal release," and then we would do all that. Or I have a really distinct memory of they didn't let cards in our school because they were like, no, that's the devil stuff, and but they couldn't say that about the public school. They're like, no, it just encourages gambling. I don't know why they said that, but we would duel, pretend like the duel disc was there and be like, oh, I have this card and this card, and we were kids, but definitely there was some stigma. They were like, oh, why are they doing all that weird stuff? And of course we just wanted to be like the things we saw on TV, so that's understandable.
I mean, I wasn't Naruto running, but I know Dr. Jace and I would do some dumb Naruto stuff.
Five-prong seal.
We used to 5-prong seal each other all the time. I mean, even to this day, when I wish Dr. Jace a happy birthday, I send him Sasuke running with a Chidori. And
We'll alternate, yeah. I'll
He'll
respond with a Naruto with a Rasengan.
But and you know, I know Kame Chris can probably talk about this. Us four went to high school together, myself, Hooperlino, Dr. Jace, and Kame Chris. Kame Chris, how was high school like being into anime? Were you out or were you in the closet with it?
It was like I didn't have a choice but to be, because that was just what I talked about to other people. Like I would do like so super, not like anime, but like Avatar. I'd be like airbending, and people would be like, "The fuck are you doing?" And I'm like, "What are you talking about? It's like the best thing ever." And then now everybody and their mom watches Avatar, knows about Korra and everything else. They're like, "Oh, this is so good." I'm like, "Get out of here!" But I was gonna actually like bounce off of Hooperlino from earlier about One Piece, because I know like we all obviously like watch TV and like Pokemon and just like Yu-Gi-Oh, like that was our introduction. But what I would say it would like really like stuck me into anime, this was like, okay, I'm too deep, like I'm knee deep, this is my life now, was in One Piece. Just knowing that that world was so vast, I'm like, is there more like this? Like, I know I've been watching Dragon Ball Z, but this is like a different level of, you know, like emotion to every character arc. Like every single time, you know, Luffy got a new crew member, it was like, we're gonna cry some way, somehow. I don't know how, but we're gonna cry, and anime should not be making me cry. And then you're like, dang, like I'm like really deep. And then you realize, oh, now this is like a 1,000 episode thing. Like obviously I'm too deep into this, but it's like at some point, you know, you watch Naruto hardcore, like you played all the Pokemon games, like you literally played Yu-Gi-Oh at fucking launch, and you just like you get all the cards in like your binder. Like we all done the, you know, that. It's just, you know, when we start reading manga and like really getting into like some really, you know, what you say, like subverse animes and mangas and stuff, we're like, okay, now I'm into it. So that's, I guess in high school, like people wouldn't know, like I wouldn't know any of this stuff. But yeah, I'm gonna talk about like what everybody, you know, kind of, you think they know, like Pokemon. But oh, you play with your Pokemon cards? Like, no, I haven't played with Pokemon cards since I was like in elementary school. But
Pokemon cards were like out by like 2009. Like I don't think anyone was touching Pokemon cards anymore.
But yeah, I would say that like in high school, yeah, you would never really guess, but I would say, yeah, I was very much into every anime and manga. Just people wouldn't know. I mean, I wasn't hiding. It was just no one really talked about unless it was like y'all. But that would be rare.
I know there were some circles, and I think Hooperlino could talk about this. Like we were no relation, but we were both on the football team, and that's not something you could necessarily talk about. You know, that wasn't the popular topic of conversation in the locker room. But I'm telling you right now, people would low key let you know that they were into anime. Like
I remember
they come
there was
whisper
a couple.
Yeah. They would like come whisper in your ear, and they'd be like, "Chidori, nigga," and I'd be like, "What?" And they'd be like, "Nothing. Keep it moving." I'm like, "Okay."
I agree.
I might have done like a Kage Bunshin hand sign, and that let them know that I was a Naruto fan.
Represent.
But you know,
it was the ATV videos. It was the videos that y'all used to make, and everybody knew at that point. So everybody would be like, "Do you know them? Are those your like your nerd friends?" I'm like,
That's fair. Yeah. We'll probably Dr. Jace will probably have to dig those out the vault and let everybody know what we're talking about.
I will.
So I actually went to school in North Carolina, middle school and high school. It's interesting. I think I hear a lot of the similar stories, and I guess it depends on what crowd you're into as well, like where you're at that point. But a kind of layer deeper is the society norm of what you thought you were supposed to be. as you progress. You know, a lot of similar stories. In elementary school, we got the cards out. We all watched the cartoons. Like, we had the cards, like Pokemon cards. I used to have them. Like, I used to line up Pokemon cards until I found 100 of them, like, throughout the house. And my friends knew about it too. And then middle school, you're progressing. You're slightly going through puberty. You're like holding on to some, but not. Video games, you might play a little bit, and people are still kind of knowing, but slowly transitioning into, you know, whether you start feeling the pressure of school or being cool or girls or anything, or your identity, all that kind of stuff starts coming into play. You start growing up, and then you start wondering, because of the way society paints it, whether it's your parents saying it's childish to do this or that, or whether it's people around you that don't do it anymore. You kind of like drop it. At least for me, like, I slowly, by high school, like you said, people low-key knew each other that was into it, but you never really spoke. You played the games, you start naming characters, you start naming stuff with your friends, but y'all don't go any deeper about it. Like, y'all just both know, and y'all do it in your own time, but then y'all go do something else. Y'all go hang out and do something else, or go try to find that crowd to hang out with, or go play sports, all stuff that we enjoyed as well. But it's like, that part you didn't want to bring out. And the interesting caveat is there was some big ones that you could bring out, right? Because, like, for me, like, at least the subculture of Black culture, for where I was at, Dragon Ball Z, you couldn't really do much, act it out too wild, right? You can't really act out in school, but everybody knew, like, and to this day, like, Dragon Ball Z is really big in Black culture. Like, that's just a fact.
Dragon Ball Z transcended nerd culture. Yeah, it became so much bigger.
Yeah, it transcended nerd culture, and I think it opened the way for the other big ones to come in too. But those are the ones that everybody always knew a little bit about, at least. Everybody who was just a little bit into knew about it, at least. To the point where, even currently now, even though now we're at a point where it's kind of flipped to where, if you're stating one of the big three, then sometimes people look at you as like you're not that deep into it because you enjoy the big three, right? But
Michael B. Jordan got roasted for it.
Right, and it's because it's so popular. So I mean, I get the caveats of both. Even Megan Thee Stallion, like, you can go down a list of people that just like post stuff. You're like, are they really deep? You know, you don't really know. But
she threw out Inuyasha, and I was like, oh shit,
did.
okay, that's
okay. She did. I ain't gonna say anything. But the other interesting thing is, I was looking like at a comment thread of literally somebody saying that, like, if you were from the hood, like, real G's didn't watch Dragon Ball Z growing up, and like, if you're from like this hood, and like the comments were like people roasting, saying, I don't know what hood you're from, but like, we talk about this in our hood all the time. Like, we do Kamehamehas while we got the Glock, even though they shouldn't say that. Like, that's how it was, like a list of them roasting people for saying, how dare you say we don't respect this anime in the culture. So it's interesting. It's interesting how society pressured us to kind of like hide certain things and kind of grow other things. And it's also interesting at the point now where it's popular now. So like, if you're walking around, I mean, I used to know people that up in college walk around with the chopper hat. Like, I've seen people walk around with the straw hat before, like in what they do and in classes, you know, I don't think nothing of it, but like nowadays, if you do it, like, people will say, oh, that's dope, what's up? Like, that's cool. So it's interesting how things have kind of shifted.
I think, yeah, as a whole, if you want to go down, you know, like the racial tolerance line, white tolerance was not as high as Black tolerance towards anime. Like, I think white people were allowed to get away with watching that stuff, while black culture as a whole said, no, you should not be watching that. But then, yeah, like you said, transcension. Dragon Ball Z definitely transcended that. And I think as we go down the line, you see that transcend. What's the word? Transcension.
Yeah.
For other anime down the line, along all the cultures. I want to hear from DrMondo real quick. DrMondo, you grew up in Puerto Rico, am I correct?
Yeah, born and raised my entire life there. And when it came to in elementary school, Yu-Gi-Oh was really big. We used to play, like, we used to duel everywhere. Like, it was really open. Everyone used to duel. But then once you hit like middle school, it was like a very dramatic shift. Like, Yu-Gi-Oh like basically stopped existing for us while we were in middle school. you were seeing like, oh, you're so cool with having Yu-Gi-Oh cards. Although I'm pretty sure that everyone had Yu-Gi-Oh cards stashed over there because obviously remnants of elementary school. And anime was really, I would say, a taboo topic, really taboo in middle and high school there. And you really, like, in my school, we wouldn't speak about anime unless you saw like a subtle sign that someone was brave enough to actually do. That was like, okay. And actually, like, one of my best friends, we actually started talking because of that. We didn't know each other at the time, and he made like, I think, a subtle sign of Naruto. I don't remember. I think it was like the Kage Bunshin. I think he was on his desk and he did something like this on his desk, and I was like, and we just started talking. we started talking, and like right now we're best friends, and that's how we started talking. But that's how you would talk about anime. But other than that, you really wouldn't speak about it at all, because you would be saying, oh, you're a nerd, you're uncool, and they would try to make your life miserable there. And it's funny because a lot of the people, they were like, oh, you're so uncool. Now on Facebook, you see them posting anime stuff, and you're like, bro.
Yep.
We tried to tell you.
Like, bro, what the hell? So that was like the way anime was seen in my school in Puerto Rico at least. And like, there were Comic Cons that obviously came over, and I would go there just for shits and giggles. But like, if they somehow caught wind that you went there, it was like, what were you doing there? Oh, blah, blah, blah. Obviously in Spanish there. Like, ¿qué carajo hacía ahí? It's like, oh my God, like, what the hell? And like, hell would rain down upon you. But it's just really funny that a lot of those people are watching anime now, and they post about it all the time on Facebook. And I just laugh every time I see it, because I'm like, see, we had a good thing going. We found it out before you. Or you were watching anime behind the scenes the entire time, and you just put up a really good front. But
exactly.
So yeah, that was my experience when it came to anime. So I was kind of like in the closet, although with everyone close to like my really close friends, I was really open about it, and they all knew about it.
And I think a lot of us can say, yeah, the people we were close to, we were fine, because we used to go to our friend Joe's place, Dr. Jace and I. We used to play Ninja Storm, I think, 2 at the time.
Days.
Yeah, Naruto days, and we were able to be ourselves, because we ain't got no prying, wandering eyes. But this leads me to the next topic, because, like you said, Dr. Mondo, there's a shift in it.
Wait, Tevin
I was gonna let Tevin the Fifth open this next topic. I got you, Tevin the Fifth. I know. Don't worry, I got you. You're gonna start this one off. But like you said, Dr. Mondo, those same people who used to be part of the counterculture, saying, you know, you're dumb, you're lame for liking anime and whatnot, there was a shift. And I would like to say, as Nino had pointed out earlier, you know, we're all kind of around the same age group. So I would like to say I noticed a shift during my collegiate period of life. And I would like, if I could pinpoint, I would say 2014. And here's what now we could discuss about this. I think there might have, I don't know why there was a shift. However, there was a shift. I would like to say there was a show that initiated the shift. And again, we can discuss this in length.
There was, yeah. Go ahead.
Discuss it in length. I'm gonna let Tevin the Fifth go ahead and open this up. Tevin the Fifth, when did you notice the shift? Can you attribute the shift to a particular anime, or was there something going on in the culture at the time? And then everyone else, feel free to chime in, interject, because I feel this is debatable right here. So Tevin the Fifth, go ahead.
You know, I don't know. This is a complicated answer for me, because when anime got popular, I was in college. So I was watching Solo Dolo. I really wasn't really paying attention to what, you know, everybody else was watching at the time. In my mind, it might have to do something with Avatar: The Last Airbender, but it's not really anime per se. But I gotta say 3 quick things real quick. Talking about what Jayla was talking about, the first and last time I ever got caught stealing was for Yu-Gi-Oh cards. Like, it was really, like, Yu-Gi-Oh was real. But me and my family, what we mostly did, we was Beyblading everywhere. Like, we was letting it rip on everywhere. And then, I didn't get to say my favorite moment as a kid, it always goes back to Digimon for some reason. When Angelmon and Angel Woman shot Ty and Matt with the arrow, and then they warped Digiball. It was in 3D. They put the budget in. And they wore Greymon and Metal Groomon, and then the episode just ended. And we were just like,
what the fuck is that, man?
It was the greatest moment of my childhood, I swear. And then go back to the last topic, when I was growing up, I'm from the hood. You could not talk about anime. Like, you literally had one tab for World Star Hip Hop and another tab for anime. So when everybody came around, I would switch to the hip hop, wait, and then I would go right back to anime. Like, that's how I literally had to watch it. And then you get older and you realize everybody was watching it this whole time, but nobody wanted to admit it. Like, I know so many people who used to be a part of the bullying process. Years later, they're watching the same thing. Yeah, literally everybody was watching the same thing. And it just, I guess because you're a kid, it's just, you don't want to be judged for the stuff you like, I guess. But in terms of the topic, I give a lot of credit. Honestly, I give a lot of credit to Naruto. A lot of credit to Naruto. When Naruto, around that time skip and stuff. And also, y'all said that Zabuza thing was the greatest Naruto moment of all time is Madara Uchiha versus the Shinobi Alliance.
That's literally 15 years after the fact. So
if you were gonna say Gaara versus Rock Lee, I was gonna give you mad props. Tevin.
Also, that's
it's the pain arc. The pain arc for sure. It's not
y'all jumping around.
I'm sorry.
Pain arc didn't happen when you were in 8th grade.
Huh?
Pain arc and Madara Uchiha did not happen when we were in middle school and high school.
We're saying that's the best arc.
We weren't talking
Pain
about
arc's the best arc.
I was like 22, but I feel you. Yeah. But yeah, I'm not sure.
All right, but if you want to talk about the shift,
yeah.
I think I'm going to attribute it to a couple things. One, I want to take credit. Our generation, I think more than any other generation, we're the ones who were like, we soaked it in. We were the ones who said like, oh shit, this is cool. Like, we were the ones like who watch Yu-Gi-Oh, who watch Pokemon, who watched the big three. We kind of eternalized it, and maybe we weren't super open about it. Maybe we weren't like out telling the world we were into it. But I think we were the ones who internalized it. After that, it took a while, but we all got social media, and it took a couple years, but eventually we all found each other on social media. We all said like, oh shit, we're all into this. And I think social media kind of helped make it okay. And then not only that, we kind of like laid the groundwork, not only to, make anime cool, to make like things like Funimation and Crunchyroll, want to invest in this kind of thing. But also for like younger brothers, like some people are old enough to have kids who were able to tell them to be like, hey, like anime's cool, like no judgment over here. Like, I'm your cool older brother. Anime's cool. You know what I mean? We were the role models for the younger generation. And then, I don't know if this is the show you're talking about. I think it does take, everybody needs their own. We couldn't just be like, hey, go read 500 chapters of One Piece. It's really good. They needed their own. So when that next generation was coming up, 2015, I think you're talking about My Hero. I could be off by a couple years.
I'm not talking about My Hero, but My Hero definitely helped with the shift, in my opinion.
I think, I would.
You think My Hero?
I think My Hero became the show that the next generation was able to rally behind and say, like, this is ours, we're into this, and we're super open about it.
All right, I'll say this. I'll say this real quick, and I'm gonna let someone else go ahead and say what they think the shift came from. As a teacher of 2 years in 5th, 1 year in 3rd, My Hero is very much like probably top tier for these children. These children love My Hero Academia. They were.
I'm not saying it's the
coming-
best. Yeah, I'm not saying it's the best. I'm saying, yeah, it's their,
No, I'm
it's
just-
this, the generation following us. That's their shit.
Yeah. The generation following us, they love My Hero. But when we're talking the shift, we're talking about the rest of our generation. How did they find, what let them hop on board?
Social
What was
media.
the show that brought
Social
them on
media.
board?
I'll say it. There's two things that I think that happened around like the 2013, 2015. So one was, I would say, Super. When that came back, I think a lot of people like gravitated back to, oh, Dragon Ball Z. I've never seen Dragon Ball Z talked about so much before. And then people like try to, go based off of other anime. But I want to say that probably no one even thought about. But if you know me, you know that I keep up with I used to keep up with like a lot of celebrities and stuff. Celebrities, like artists, like music artists started putting it in their songs heavy around that time, really heavy. So you had a lot of regular people coming around thinking, oh yeah, like I heard a line, so I started watching like Yu Yu Hakusho or something. Like, what are you talking about? I don't even know what song, but it was celebrity influence and fashion as well. You see a lot of fashion with like people wearing like anime tees, and then like wearing really big, colorful, like anime looking gear, and that's like, I would say, when the local people, like regular people, really got on into it.
I do agree.
I forgot all about the hip hop influence. I really did.
Right.
Rosa were you?
Yeah. What's up?
Rosa, were you about to chime in on the hip hop and the music?
I mean, I'm not gonna chime in much because excuse me, Kame Chris.
Kame
Chris, which actually I literally have the shirt right here. It says it. Already hit the nail on the head. In my opinion, it's social media. It's social media, and I mean, celebs are people that people look to. Whether it's right or wrong, they look to them, they idolize them, and so once it starts becoming embedded in the culture, definitely with lyrics, and definitely with people our age. You gotta think some of the artists that are popular now are born in '94, born in this '90s time.
That's
and
very
they openly include a lot of references. I mean, we just earlier talked about Megan Thee Stallion taking a break in a hyperbolic time chamber was her picture, like up on social media, like her in the hyperbolic time chamber. Like, so when the celebs start putting it out on social media, it went from watching Jalen go Super Saiyan. Remember that video? If anybody's seen it?
Oh, Jalen, yeah.
He does your
laughing at that. To saying, oh, they dropped a really cool line in the song, or even watching people such as RDC World, for example, do comedy and make light out of it and also make it cool. These are all people that are around our age too. So I think it's just social media just become visible, just with like a lot of other things.
And there's another thing that another point that Kame Chris brought up about Dragon Ball Super coming back. There was a lot of instances of like around that time period. I think the very first instance that it happened, because this happened like over the span of like the last decade, like from 2009 to now, that the shift like kind of happened. And I think I had to look at my phone real quick, because I think the first time that it happened that something came back or was being redone was like with Full Metal Alchemist Brotherhood, because Full Metal Alchemist was an anime, or it was based on a manga, but an anime way back in the day, but then it was coming back, and then and that happened in 2009, and then in 2010 happened. There was Hunter or 2011 Hunter x Hunter was coming out, and they had an anime back, way back at the beginning of the century, and then it's like, oh, we're redoing this, and then Dragon Ball Super like came out like a couple years later, and then not only that, the Naruto was ending like in 2014. That's when they announced it. They said Naruto's ending. That's it, no more. And that was one of the big three. People were finally like, oh. I think at that point people were saying, I don't care. This thing is ending. I'm not gonna hide it anymore. Like it's cool to to read manga, to watch anime, to do to do things like that. And they were a lot more open about it, because I think once people found out that these things aren't gonna go on forever, they were like, might as well enjoy it while it's here.
And I think there's also go ahead.
I was just gonna say a resurgence, but go ahead, Dr. Jace.
No, I mean, I do agree. Like a lot of because it's funny that that Nino was pointing that stuff out about like a lot of the shows that were making resurgences back in like the early 2010s. And I mean, Dragon Ball Super. I guess back then it was like Dragon Ball Z, because it didn't transition into Super yet. Yeah, but like they were doing the movies, right? And they were like, oh wow, Dragon Ball Z is coming back. The author's coming back. I think outside of the popular shows that we were all familiar with, I honestly, in my opinion, I attribute like that interest in anime again to one particular show, and to me that was Attack on Titan.
Yes.
And the reason why I say Attack on Titan, whether or not you might like Attack on Titan, you might not. It doesn't matter about the quality of the plot and everything, but I think as a medium, Attack on Titan, it really blew up to the degree where people that didn't even watch anime growing up, they were interested in Attack on Titan. You had all these people, you had news stations talking about it, like this new hit show, and you had some ignorant newscaster saying this new cartoon for kids is blowing up on social media. And we all knew that wasn't for kids.
Oh no.
But I think that show really opened a lot of people's eyes to like how anime can be portrayed, because we're kind of used to, your Dragon Ball Z's, your Naruto's, and they kind of have a formula to them. You have the main character, they get stronger by believing in themselves, going through a training montage. And we enjoyed that stuff growing up, but as you see it over and over again, it kind of got formulaic, and you kind of expected certain things. Like you didn't expect Naruto to lose a limb in like chapter 40 or something. But when Attack on Titan happened, I think that was where people really saw, okay, anime can look really good, like animation wise. It can look as good as a movie. It can be gory as hell, like really gory. And I think what attracted a lot of people, and I think GrandMasterHoop can attest to this because we have some friends that were like this, I think Attack on Titan kind of toned down the comedy part in anime, where we had some friends that we knew growing up that couldn't get into anime because they didn't like the joking part of it. They didn't like the big teardrop on the side of their head when they're like nervous or whatever, or when Nami's mouth grows like 10 feet wide because she's screaming at Luffy for being stupid. I think Attack on Titan toned that down to a degree where someone could actually watch a serious show with some jokes in there now and then and really say, oh wow, I can watch this alongside my Game of Thrones season watches, So I think once Attack on Titan dropped and really blew up the medium, people started realizing, oh yeah, like I'm really into, you remember Dragon Ball Z? Oh, that was a really good show. Oh, did you know they're making a new movie? And it was just a domino effect after that. Social media, everything piled in. The center of it for me was Attack on Titan. I think that's what caused that resurgence in popularity.
Well said.
100%. 100%. And I would like to piggyback off that, because you're absolutely right. It was just so mature in theme that so all y'all said, I think Rose said it and Hooperlino said it, with the visibility of it, with social media and celebrities putting it on a platform, so now it's visible. But during like the 2010s, anime became really accessible. So Attack on Titan, and I know Dr. Mondo and Nino can attest to this, because I remember y'all would come over to Night Circle all the time, and we just talk about whatever, and we would watch this stuff. Streaming is huge, as far as accessibility. And Attack on Titan season 1 was only on Netflix, and that was back when everybody was sharing their Netflix password. My brother wherever he may be. I had his Netflix account, and it was so easy to put people on to Attack on Titan because it's on Netflix. The whole season 1 was right there, and that's 26 episodes of pure greatness. And we had entered a culture where binging was huge, and people wanted story. And so not only did Attack on Titan, you were allowed to binge it, and it had a great story. I would like to say I would tell people, get to episode 5. Episode 5, and you're hooked. And that was the episode where Eren got eaten, and everybody was like, they pulled a Ned Stark in 5 episodes. They killed the main character in 5 episodes. So I 100% agree with you. Attack on Titan opened the door, you know. Then you had, Dragon Ball Z and all that to lean back on.
Mm-hmm.
But if you hopped on Attack on Titan right away, remember people were anxious for 5 years before season 2.
Oh God.
So
yeah,
they had to go find.
I have 2 quick questions.
Go ahead.
To Dr. Jake's point, the first thing is, do you think Attack on Titan was a lot of a shock factor too? And let me rephrase that by, streaming accessibility, but I'm hearing a lot of our stories of jumping into certain animes and about how, we were young. We probably shouldn't have been watching some of the animes we watched when we were kids. So, at first when Dr. J said, Attack on Titan as the one, I'm thinking kids. I'm like, wait, but kids can't watch Attack on Titan. Then I thought of myself as a kid and somebody saying, okay, you shouldn't watch that. And the shock and awe of it grabs the younger audiences and the older audiences into, like, they're reading the story and stuff, but the shock and the Titans and everything is getting actually younger audience to look at it as well, even though they might not be supposed to because of the streaming. So my quick point is do you think it's the shock factor of Attack on Titan as well that makes it that imprint on culture?
I think that played a pretty big role in the shock value. And it's funny that you say, like, oh, should kids be watching that? I had like a cousin that was like 8 years old. I met him like a couple times, like I think like in 2015 or so. And I remember when I saw him, this little guy, he would sing. He wouldn't know the lyrics, but he would sing the Attack on Titan theme song to the best, just out of nowhere. He could be like eating his food, and he'll be like, "Hey, like he's singing it, and I'm like, "Is that Attack on Titan? You watch that show?" He loves it. He probably shouldn't be watching it, but he has access to it. So there were kids like, past the generation beyond us that were, watching shows like that. Same thing with us. We were watching, like, back then, Dragon Ball Z was the taboo show. You got aliens bleeding purple blood. Purple blood is kind of demonic in a way. So, but I think with Attack on Titan, it was the shock factor because GrandMasterHoop even alluded to it. They pulled a Ned Stark, because they showed that, some of these shows can be really gory, a lot of blood in it, and they pulled a Ned Stark. They killed off the main character. Well, quotation marks. They killed off the main character in the 5th episode, and that just came as a shock to everyone because no one really expects that. The same with Game of Thrones season 1. No one expected one of the main characters to just die off, and then the story continues after that. So I think it was the shock factor, just a factor in it. I think it did play a role in people realizing, wow, there's so much more that we've been missing out on. Sailor Moon never did. Well, the English dub of Sailor Moon never did this. I don't remember this. So yeah, that's what I think, at least.
I remember my partner's jaw dropping to the floor when she saw Eren's mom literally be taken out by a Titan. She was joking on me. She was like, "Oh, this is so dramatic," and I'm like, you watch drama all the time. It's just not animated. But then Eren's mom gets, chomped, and her jaw dropped to the floor, and she's like, that shock made her say, "Okay, let me peel back and actually listen to the story here." And so now she's watching the story, and actually keeping up with the story. So it just makes me think from that perspective too. And then my second one is, we talk a lot about accessibility and social media, but I'm thinking in my head, like back then there wasn't anime in America came in the 1960s. I mean, it came back in Astro Boy technically, right? Astro Boy was one of the early
Astro
ones.
Boy,
Speed
Voltron,
Racer.
That was the 60s.
Speed
That was
Racer,
the 60s.
yeah.
And I just wonder, like, it obviously it wasn't as popular, but like people our age, like feeling the same way, and then maybe having or maybe not because they couldn't, but it's just not as accessible, so we don't actually get to see it. But that there were large communities because it lived since the 60s, so there had to be enough to pull it into America so long. It's just once the 90s started picking up and technology started picking up, it started getting more widespread and bigger than that. So it just makes me think, like, my dad knew what Dragon Ball was when I came to him. He knew what it was. He wasn't as heavily invested, but when I came, I said, hey, I saw this kid with a monkey tail. He's like, oh yeah, it's Dragon Ball. It's the 80s to him, right? So yeah, it makes me think, like, accessibility is wild, but it makes me think at that point that these groups exist were like hiding in a sense, like you said, they weren't accessible.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Chris.
Oh yeah, I was gonna add to that.
Kame Chris.
Say, I was gonna add to that and say, you gotta have, like, I would say, like an uncle or somebody that wasn't, your actual parent, but a few years younger at the time, that like would show you some crazy stuff. My uncle used to show me it may not have been anime, but he used to show me some really crazy stuff. Like, I remember my first actual, like, well, I think it was a Chinese movie, actually. I don't think it was Japanese. And that was like my first, I had to be like 3 years old, and he had, a bunch of tapes, and he used to watch these like religiously, and putting that in, I'm like, why are these people's voices distorted in every single tape? But it was the coolest thing. Like, it's the freaking 90s, and you're seeing people like flying in the air and like taking swords out, real swords, and like, like trying to slice at each other. And then it's like some intricate story. But if you don't have that like opening to like see, even like the background of anime, because my uncle told me, he was like, hey, that's like the story of Wukong, talking to, like, when I used to watch Dragon Ball Z. So he used to say that, and I'm like, well, I have no idea what that is until I got older and I learned about the Journey to the West. So you really wouldn't have like any access into like the real like origins of everything, even including Dragon Ball at a certain time. It was here really early, but it just wasn't accessible unless you had that really obsessive, crazy uncle, or, somebody that was just like of age, but not really of age, but had just about everything. And even, like going back to Rose's point, as far as, growing up, like, when you grow up in the hood, I grew up like in the hood until I was about 8 years old, and then I moved over to Brandon Seffner. But yeah, people just don't know about it. Like, and nobody knows about anime or whatever. So you have to be a really particular person back then to even care to like know about anime, which makes even those people back then, like my uncle watching Attack on Titans now, is like oh my god, like this has changed so much since everybody's watching this. I had to get a tape to see this type of violence. There was no way I was watching this like in public. And it's like the way that it progressed, like with him, my mom, like, oh, my brother watches this, so she just let me watch anything. So, and nothing was off limits. I just saw whatever and however. So it was just, yeah, you have to be in a very particular, like environment to like see everything.
Yeah, no, I totally agree with what a lot of people are saying. Just thinking about like accessibility, yeah, if you think about like these poor communities that can be disproportionately black, it's like if that household has one TV in the living room, like good luck being 8 years old saying like, I want to watch, Toonami from 8 p.m. to 12 p.m. You know what I mean? Like a Saturday night, you know what I mean? Like, good luck, you know what I mean? So if you think about today where, poor or not, a kid could have like an iPhone or an iPad and accessibility to Crunchyroll or just YouTube, and just like maybe they're not even watching anime, they're watching those top 10 lists that are talking about anime. You know what I mean? It's just like there's just so much more accessibility for kids these days. It's just like, so I think that ties into that 2015. It's funny, I feel like when we look back at 2015, historians, people who are smarter than me, who are studying anime, just so happens, I think they are going to point to like this kind of everything we've been mentioning. Like, it's like, you're right, because I do remember Attack on Titan. Like, by that time I was like deep in college and like just completely like arm's length away from anime. I think I was reading One Piece, but that was it. But like, my brother, may God rest his soul, he showed me like Attack on Titan. I remember being like, oh shit, this is real. But if you think about back then, that is like this weird gathering of Attack on Titan, being a show that, nerds can show people who might not normally be interested into anime. That's the end of Naruto. I think that's like One Piece's time skip, which was like, spoiler alert, the death of Ace. You know what I mean? Like, huge moment in One Piece. Hope I didn't ruin that for anybody here, but One Piece is going steady. Naruto is ending. You have all this accessibility. It just, all these animes are coming back. Dragon Ball Super. It just feels like that was like a really weird time where, anime really could like make this monumental shift, more than any other time I could think of.
Yeah, no, I can't attribute another time where, it was as, profound. I can't think of another time as it being profound as like 2014, 2015. And so here we are, and now we have this new age, I guess, for anime as a whole. And the culture is now shifted. It's different. You can be out and open about your love for these shows. And people are now hopping on all these old shows that we used to watch. Just look at this past quarantine year with Avatar: The Last Airbender. I've never seen so many people invested in Avatar: The Last Airbender. That's not even anime.
Is it?
In my
is it not an anime? Is it not an anime though?
Listen.
No, wait.
That's another. Hold on. I'm just using it as a jumping point.
Anime adjacent. Anime influenced.
It is heavily anime influenced. I see you. Just let
Don't
me
forget
open
Teen
up
Titans.
the next topic.
Go ahead.
Let me open. Did you say the Teen Titans? Is that what
I
you
was
said?
the Teen Titans.
Heavily anime influence again.
You guys remember That's So Raven spinoff? Does anybody remember that?
Corey in the
House.
That was
Wow.
heavily anime inspired.
Bunch of
No, that
trolls.
wasn't anime.
That wasn't anime at all. Interesting.
Bunch of trolls.
I wonder what sparked that.
Listen, all
Oh,
I'm
man.
saying is we are now in a new age. And I would like to know, how does this new age look like? What differences do you see in people? What is the fandom like now? Dr. Mondo, can you open this up? What have you noticed in this new age? What has shifted? And what comes quick to your mind when you want to talk about what is different from how things were before?
First of all, the openness. You can be talking with whoever, a complete stranger, and you can easily mention anime in the conversation, and it's like, hey, it becomes a topic of conversation that just spans there. It's like they're not, and another complete stranger can just hear you from the other side. It's like, oh, you watched that show too, and it's like, and that's it. Just like just like when you're talking about Game of Thrones and all these types of series, like you find so much common ground in those in anime to just spark conversations. There's no hiding it anymore. Even the people that like go to Comic Cons, that dress up, they're like, you can see a person just walking about with an Akatsuki jacket, with now with Demon Slayer or Survey Corps jacket. And like a lot of people know what the hell it's from, and it's like they're like, "Oh, look, that's cool. It's fashion. It looks really cool." like it's already become a part of our culture. It's ingrained in different parts of our culture. Fashion, even music, celebrities. Hell, even Bad Bunny referenced Itachi in a new song. Bad Bunny.
Ooh, I didn't know that one.
A very new song, he referenced Itachi, and I'm like, whoa, bro. So it's like, it's everywhere. Anime has become globalized. It's not just a particular niche in entertainment. It is entertainment. It is everywhere, and you can see it everywhere.
I just want to jump in. When you say the Survey Corps jacket, we were in Glee Club together, Antonio. I'm sorry, Dr. Mondo, and Grandmaster Hoop. And shout out to in 2014, we knew this kid named Ricky, and Ricky showed up one day to Glee Club rehearsal in full Survey Corps attire.
Respect.
with the what do you call it, the blades and the things around his hips, and his hair was even like cut to look like Aaron's. So shout out to Ricky. Shout out to Ricky. But that's all I'm gonna give him credit for, because you know.
All right.
No, but that's basically my take on how the culture has changed. And again, going a little bit back on what you all said, the accessibility of anime made all this possible. And obviously, yeah, Attack on Titan, like when you put it was like a huge melting pot. You had accessibility, you had social media. In a way, the college environment, because college isn't like high school. Like high school, you're very preoccupied. You're like, oh my God, popularity. I have to be the cool kid in town. Everyone has to like me. College is a lot more anonymous in a way. Like it's such a huge, they just threw you in with a batch of a lot of strangers. And you're like, I don't know more than 90% of the people that I'm here. I'm just another person in the crowd. So you really think you can do whatever the hell you want. And no one's gonna say anything, because hell, I don't know half of these people, and they're not even gonna notice me. So when you put that college environment of our generation, and then all that is bubbling up, and then you threw Attack on Titan, which Attack on Titan, the animation style was completely different from a lot of animes that came before. It was very detailed. The action scenes were amazing. It was very serious, gory. It even had it was more real, even though it was in a fantasy world, kind of a post-apocalyptic world. It was like the recipe, like, hey, now anime is cool. It's not taboo anymore. Now it's the shit. It's like, you're cool if you watch anime now. So yeah, it's like I was going back there. But that's basically my take on all that.
I'll just add about like your college point. It's like funny because it's like you're right. Like, you know, college is like kind of this more open environment to be yourself, but it's also because if you go to like a public university, you know, there could be up to like, you know, 40,000 people there. It's like, even with that huge number, it's like your pool is bigger, but yet you're able to find like your people somehow. It's just like you're able to find like the people who like anime and are like you. And, you know, I just think back to my high school experience. You know, I went to high school with, I never remember their code names, but I'm an admiral, so it's okay. But a couple people on here, and yeah, I felt like the classes below me, I think the further you got away from my class, like the more, you know, people you could probably be friends with who liked anime. But in terms of my pickings, they were pretty slim. You looked around and it was like, you know, that one creepy kid with like the trench coat and like the curly hair, and you were like, you kind of didn't know what their deal was, but you knew they were into anime, and that was like the only kid. So you're kind of like, all right, I might just keep this to myself. You know, I probably should see a therapist, make sure I'm not like heading down the wrong path or anything like that. You know, pickings were slim, depending on like your class and your high school. And like college really does like open the door for you able to find, you know, kids who aren't in trench coats and stuff like that, who also like anime.
Yep, completely agree with that. Completely agree.
I do agree a lot of it was the availability too, because like, I mean, just as an example, Demon Slayer, the new movie, came out a couple weeks ago, and that movie's availability, I think it was like you could watch it in theaters for like 2 weeks, right, or something close to that.
I think
Back
it's
then,
still out in theaters.
yeah, I think it's still out. But like back then, for an anime movie, you got like maybe a day. You got 1 day, like, and that's it. Or an opening.
Got one showing. You got one showing, and it was probably not dubbed, or it was forced to be dubbed, and it was like at 11 o'clock at night.
There was an exception, I think, to that rule. I think it was the Yu-Gi-Oh movie.
I was gonna say the Yu-Gi-Oh movie. The trading card.
Oh, Pokemon. Pokemon, the first movie.
Oh, that's right.
True.
No, all Pokemon movies had good showings, I think.
Right, they did.
Yeah.
They did.
And the Yu-Gi-Oh
Pokemon
was made by the American animators for 4Kids.
Yeah, 4Kids. Yeah.
Yeah.
But again, that was back when before they were anime. They were just Yu-Gi-Oh and Pokemon.
The anime that were not anime.
Yes, perfect way to put it. But yeah, like you're right. Demon Slayer is like one of the highest grossing. It's the highest grossing Japanese film of all time. It's the highest grossing R-rated animated film, which I mean, there's not a lot, but it's grossing over like 500.
Is that right? It's the number one of all time.
Yeah, number one Japanese film of all time.
Which is weird because
we've
been talking about
every Studio Ghibli movie. It just hopped right over.
Exactly. It trumped every Studio Ghibli. Yes.
That's because of accessibility. That's the state of the culture now. It's accessibility. That's why.
Because you want to know why? Because we've been talking about anime, but specifically anime series. But we haven't even touched on like films and like Ghibli was here.
That's another conversation completely.
That is another because
it's anime.
No, you're not wrong. You're not wrong. And I know Hooperlino's big on Ghibli, but think about it since we're talking about movies now. Demon Slayer had a following. Ghibli has his name alone as his following, but people who came out for Demon Slayer, that was their season 2 opener, right there. That movie.
Yeah, I was gonna bring that up. I was gonna say that this is probably one of the first times. If I'm wrong, I can't like think about any anime movie, but I think this is like one of the first movies that actually went on screen and that is a part of like the actual anime
the canon
that continues. It's not going to be remade. Like this is like the actual like, oh, you have to see the movie to like continue the anime.
Because I was gonna say Dragon Ball Super, the two movies. Yeah. Like they kind of led into the new, like, if you want to call Super like a season of Dragon Ball, let's say, kind of led on, but they also touched upon it lightly then in the series.
They definitely opened the door.
Opened the door. But
I would say just like with Super, I mean, you didn't have to watch the movie. You could have just watched the anime and been like, oh, here, yeah, this is it. But like for this, you actually have to watch the movie to understand what's going on. I think this is the first time me personally, I can't think of any other time that, it's not a side movie. Like, it's not like, oh, like, we're never going to talk about Celebi again, Like, it just, it's just...
I mean, that's true, though, because, like, because there were anime movies when we were growing up based on, like, the shows that we watched, but a lot of them were kind of, like, just one-hit wonders, Like, they introduced a villain's dead by the end of the movie, done. Next, and that was pretty much it. I think, like, again, the same period that we're talking about, like 2013, early 2010s, that was where I think even the animation side, like, in Japan, they started realizing people really like the movies and shows that are still somewhat tied to the original story and have even the original author involved, whether it's he's writing it or he's producing it or he's somehow involved. I think that's when they realized, okay, let's actually kind of put effort into these movies. Yeah. And then we get a movie like Demon Slayer, but breaking box office numbers from Japan. It's crazy.
No, go look up the numbers if you are a disbeliever still.
I'm looking it up now. It's crazy. They did it in the middle of a pandemic. It makes no sense.
Movie that it's not that kind of tight. It really ends it. And it's canon is Naruto the Last.
Ah, okay.
Naruto
the Last did have a theatrical release, yeah.
Mm-hmm. And if you don't watch Naruto the Last, you really don't know the complete ending of Naruto. Like,
Well, you missed that whole Hinata
yeah,
Naruto.
kind of like, and fuck Boruto, but it's like,
Someone said it. Someone needed to say it.
Somebody had to say it.
I gotta have a conversation. Why the hell fuck Boruto? Like, fuck that guy. That's like,
That's fair.
but yeah, like Naruto the Last is the movie to end Naruto, and it is the only canon movie of all the Naruto movies, like Naruto and the Shippuden movies. All the other are just like, oh, look, a side villain right there that they kind of try to tie into the lore of the world, but it doesn't pack as much of a punch because it's like, we know this didn't happen.
Exactly, and that was always the problem with anime movies because Japan used to just pump out those movies.
Dragon
Like
Ball,
every
Dragon
year.
Ball Z, Dragon Ball Z has a ton of them, and finally they made Broly canon with this last movie.
And
It's
myself, Dr. Jace, and Kame Chris, that was like the middle of the week where Kame Chris drove all the way from Tampa, and we watched that movie. And I'm telling you, that theater was not only packed with like diehard DBZ fans. Like, you just had people in there who.
That was an experience.
No,
Yes.
like when I
Very,
saw it,
very
it was packed. It was packed.
No, not a seat available. Not a
Same.
seat available.
Same here, same down here in Puerto Rico. Not a seat available.
And
like,
I know. Rose, he watches that Broly fight apparently once a month. Is that right? You said
I watched it this morning.
Okay.
I really watched it this morning.
What an
And
amazing fight!
It just
Met
popped
his
up on
quota.
my thumbnail, and I said, "Let's go! He about to throw them hands again. Let's do it."
It was amazing. It was amazing. So now you got these films. They're really investing a lot of money into the quality of these films, like Dr. J said. Tevin the Fifth, you've been often quiet. What you got circulating?
No, I was just taking it in. You know, I'm weird because I have a love-hate relationship with the accessibility. I'm happy that, you know, you can go to the movie theater now and watch these movies, and, you know, it's not so hard to find. But I just feel like let's just call it Hollywood, when they see something like, oh, there's a market here, now it's just like, I gotta go to Funimation to watch this. I gotta go to Crunchyroll to watch this. I gotta go to Amazon to watch this. And it's like, it can be a little bit just
taxing.
Overwhelming. And, you know, and also on the flip side of that, it took away how I don't know if I'm allowed to say this or not, but, you know, back in the day, you used to go to your anime tube and be able to just have all your anime right there. But now all those websites.
We are not affiliated with pirated sites.
You know, all those websites are gone now, you know, and if you do find one, they all got pop-ups or viruses and stuff like that. Back in the day, it used to be just really easy to find a website where you can just watch all that stuff. And now it seems a little convoluted. But with that being said, without it being more mainstream, you know, we wouldn't have this amazing season of Castlevania we just had. We wouldn't have the Voltron. I don't know if y'all watched the new Voltron that came out.
Yes.
Oh yeah.
Yes.
So amazing. Or, you know, the Dragon Princes, or it's just, I'm grateful, but at the same time, it's like it's a mixed bag as an older watcher. You know, it's a mixed bag for me. But I'm happy. I'm happy that now that these days, at least, people can say I watched this and it's not a big thing, because people are really ashamed of saying that, you know, they like anime, and I had to be like, bro, there's something in there for everybody. You know, I think about well, y'all was talking about like back in the day, the accessibility. I wouldn't talk about that earlier, but I just forgot. But, you know, in the early 90s, you know, you had Berserk, you had Conan, you had Flame of Recca, Saint Seiya, all these, Dragon Ball, all these things were out at the time, but, you know, you just had no, and they were super popular, but you just had no way to get to them. And, you know, and then one more thing, we're talking about inappropriate. I don't know if you guys remember the movie Ninja Scroll.
Yes.
That sounds familiar. Yeah.
Yes.
Woo!
Oh God.
I found that movie on TV, but it was so good and it was so adult, and I was like, okay, you know, I see why people really, really get into this, because you know, with anime, there's something there for everybody. So, like I said, I appreciate even there's something there for everybody. That's all I'm saying. I appreciate the mainstreamness. I love being able to go to the movies to watch this stuff, but I mean, Catch-22. I'm happy. It's growing. It's gonna keep growing, and the more stuff we get, the happier I am. Digimon 2020 just came out, and so I probably wouldn't have had that without, you know, this resurgence and stuff. Check it out. That's all.
All right. Well said. Well said. So I think we're all in agreement. The culture is shifting in a positive route, and a lot more fans are now being introduced. A lot more people are now open to the prospect that there is an anime out there for everyone. So with that said, I want us to go around and just go ahead, you know, for anybody listening to our cast today, what show would you recommend, whether it be something you're watching now, or if you want to give them a recommendation for an introduction into this world, or, you know, just a personal favorite? What would you recommend to people? And I'm going to go ahead. Maybe he'll leave after this, but Hooperlino, what would you go ahead and recommend to either a newcomer, or what are you watching right now that you find very enjoyable?
Thank you, Grandmaster Hoop, but no thank you. I'm not ready, so you're going to have to go elsewhere.
Okay. Rose, I'm sorry. Tevin the Fifth, go ahead and pop it off.
How about just, I got top of my head, you know, Akame got killed, Parasite,
Parasite.
Into the Abyss, Sword Art Online.
Wait, Into the Abyss or Made in Abyss?
Made in Abyss. I'm sorry, Made in Abyss. Made in Abyss.
Okay.
What's the show? The Promised Neverland season 1, not season 2.
Yeah.
Season.
Be careful with season 2.
Jump straight to the manga after the end of season 1.
Tama, I think NinoDesplazado had something to say about your Sword Art comment.
Yeah, well, you said Sword Art Online. I just want to make sure that you say it with your chest now, because that's some hot trash right there. Sword Art Online.
What?
Sword Art Online had one good episode. Had one good episode in season 1, and then they forgot exactly what it was like. Oh, Asaka and whoever. Look, Kirito is not the Black Swordsman. He's just another ripoff of Guts, who can like dual wield.
Bullshit.
That's it.
Guts
Guts can't dual wield.
Kevin, Tevin, we're gonna give you time to rebuttal, and then we're gonna move on to the next recommendation.
And also, I want to say Hunter x Hunter, but that's everybody's favorite. But the reason why I say BS, I understand the point that you're trying to make, but this is the formula with Sword Art Online. And also, Sword Art Online is one of the best animated animes out there. It's like, you know, you have like Fate Stay Night with their animation level, and then you have like Sword Art Online type stuff.
Fate Stay Night Unlimited Blade Works is something else.
It's beautiful.
That is something else.
In between Fate Stay Night and Demon Slayer, that's some of the best animation I've ever seen. But my point is, with Sword Art, they have this like weird little formula, like all the seasons. The first half is amazing. The second half is You go to season 2, the first half is amazing. The second half, The movie is great. The new one, Alicization, whatever. I don't know.
Alicization is better.
Alicization, now that's good. Alicization is great.
Beautiful.
Because it actually, for the first time, gives Kirito a fucking personality. A fucking flaw.
There's a lot of back and forth on this Sword Art topic. Y'all sure you want to recommend this to people?
Yes, absolutely. I will always recommend it.
You just said the second half was bad, and he said it doesn't take until a whole nother thing for him to get a character.
Sword Art Online is really digestible for a new coming anime watcher.
I would say
I'll agree to that. Like back in the day when I was just getting into anime, like for college, like when I was like re-getting into anime, Sword Art Online used to be the shit. Like it used to be, I was like, oh my god, Sword Art Online is amazing. And then I realized that it was just a knockoff of everything else that came before it. And I was like, all right, I can move past it.
All right, look, I hate to cut y'all off. We talking too much about Sword Art. I'm just gonna go clockwise on my screen. So DrMondo, some recommendations, personal favorites. What would you try to introduce someone into with this world?
Okay, like introduce someone. Like, if we're gonna look for, if you don't want to watch like all of One Piece, all of Naruto, or you want to see something more new in that kind of genre that's pretty similar, Black Clover is a pretty good place to start. Black Clover, it's knights, fantasy, magic. It has comedy there, good action, great animation. If
And
you want
over time,
what?
It gets better over time.
And it is progressively better every time you see it, like each episode. If you want something more serious, there are a lot of good Netflix animes there. Akame ga Kill is not like the best anime out there, but it is if you want to start out anime, it's great, and you're gonna have a great time watching it.
That's another shock value anime.
Yes.
If you want a very serious, maybe tear-jerking anime, if you're more of like, okay, I'm not much of an action person, and it's on Netflix, Violet Evergarden. Violet Evergarden, the animation is one of the most beautiful I've ever seen, and if you're into like drummer tear-jerking, that's an anime for you.
So something for everybody, huh?
Let's see what else.
Oh, you don't have to give us your whole repertoire.
No, okay, but yeah, that's like those are great anime to start out, and it's also there. But well, new anime that has come out this season that are pretty good, and that Vivi Fluoride Ice Song, it is amazing. Just think about Terminator and Detroit Become Human kind of meshed in together with a beautiful animation and a beautiful plot line. And I think Tevin the Fifth wants to say something.
Tevin, it's okay to fanboy. Go ahead.
Thank you. I appreciate you. I just wouldn't feel good if I didn't mention slime. Reincarnated slime. You said current season. Slime is great. Slime is amazing.
I've heard of that.
And ReZero. If you're watching for a good isekai anime, for those who do not know of our viewers, isekai is that the protagonist is transported to another world. ReZero is an amazing isekai anime to start because it breaks the mold of isekai anime and goes from 0 to 100 extremely quick and will always keep you on your feet. Plus, Goblin Slayer is another good one if you like the 0 to 100.
I really hope the viewers are taking notes, but good thing they could rewind and whatnot. Because Dr. Mondo, you just dropped like I think 10. But thank you, Dr. Mondo.
Cool.
Thank you, Tevin the Fifth. Again, if you are a dissenter for any of these mentioned, please speak up. Let's give it a Rose the Crafter. Rose, any recommendations for the people out there? What are you watching right now?
I mean, I don't know. Recommendations is tough because it's really dependent on the person and what they're into.
I guess if you could pick one.
I can't pick one. But what I will say is that I'm personally coming off of the Demon Slayer movie and Demon Slayer. Now, I personally I'm enjoying Demon Slayer and looking forward to the future as far as anime wise. So in my opinion, I feel like that's a good one to jump into and kind of realize. Don't start with the movie though. Don't start with the movie. Do not start with the movie. The movie is, the second half is great to me. The first half I could really care less for. That's honestly true. But they might, I don't know. Let me not say that. But what I will say is this, as far as recommendations, I want to first say thank you to you all. Y'all brought up great recommendations, but also Nino said resurgence. I'm hearing words like resurgence, as in like, we love these things. We started to enjoy these things and then we kind of put them away. You know, I heard Hooperlino say arm's length, these words of where it kind of went away for whatever reason. And then it came back to us. So my only recommendation is just to be open. Be open. Shout out to all of you all, the 4045 crew, because they presented so many opportunities for me to experience different anime. And I think that's the big thing. And so as we live in a society where we're challenging a lot of things, where we're being strong in our identities and trying to figure it out at the same time, which I encourage you to do so. Don't be like us in high school. Stand firm in what you believe in and show out. And a lot of us did that in our own ways. We did it in different ways. But if it's anime is your thing, be strong in that. But my recommendation is be open to stuff. If you're a person that enjoys art, look at some stuff that has beautiful artwork first. Look at a movie. Look at a Studio Ghibli movie, for example. Look at Spirited Away, for example. You know, look at that, for example, and see how you feel. See how you feel. How does that connect with you? If you want a little mix of shock and something like that, then look at your Attack on Titans. Then look at your if you want to just see straight up action and then see if a story comes with it, then you could do a Dragon Ball Z. You can even go to My Hero. You can really go. I don't want anybody that wants to go to something popular and then work their way back. Because in my opinion, if you start with the older stuff is great, but if you start with the newer stuff and peel back, it becomes more palatable, I think, to me, because the animation is better. You know, they tighten up some story beats sometimes. So like that little flash of new inspires you to go back and then really appreciate the story that the old has to offer. So my recommendation is just to be open to the experience of anime and find out which one is yours. Try different ones. Don't find one. Try all that we suggested, or half, or two, or three, and make sure they're vastly different from each other so you get a feel.
I wish you would have closed. So
That
next
was a
time we
powerful
have
recommendation.
yes.
That was
yes.
well crafted.
That's why he's a crafter. NinoDesplazado. Gonna be hard to follow up, but go ahead.
So I have a couple of recommendations. I think that was beautiful that Rose, that came out of your mouth. So I 100% agree. I'm 100% behind that. If you find something, because this anime is such a large, vast ocean, you'll find something you'll like. Because anime isn't a genre. Anime is just a style. So you'll find something you'll like, and it's been really experimental for years now. Like a lot of the things that we're seeing in Attack on Titan was probably done by Code Geass probably like years before. I don't recommend Code Geass if you're just starting out. I recommend Code Geass if you have, if you've seen a couple of shows already, because the joy in that is, you're seeing how it's a mech, high school, slice of life, and a Death Note all in one anime, with like a healthy amount of fan service. So like if you have to get used to that, because sometimes they really just shove it in your face and you just have to deal with it. But some of the things that I recommend probably Spirited Away from Ghibli, classic. It's really great to show you a master using the form. I would say Your Name, another movie, really great anime, and it's a little bit more serious, a little bit more romantic. I will have Erased as well as a series, very easily watchable. One season, has a very tight story, really great animation. It will have you hooked like to your seat, asking you what's gonna come next. And I think the final one is probably Yu Yu Hakusho for just an introduction to shonen. I think it does so many things that shonen is known for well, and has a really interesting first arc that kind of gets dropped, but it's one of the older shows that still stands up today. You can skip the last arc because he kind of gave up and started writing Hunter x Hunter at that point, but those are my recommendations.
Oh gosh, Tevin the Fifth. It's okay. Just relax. We can deep dive Yu Yu Hakusho another time.
Don't skip that last season.
Don't skip it.
Don't.
Right.
Don't they do another tournament arc?
Yes.
Yes.
I remember, right? They did,
Right.
yeah.
I think so.
That's the
I never
match.
got there.
Since we're talking skip Game of Thrones if you've never seen it. Save yourself the trouble.
All right. Coming from the man who watched
Hey, we gotta finish. We gotta
final
finish.
season as if he was a
gotta
true fan.
finish.
So you can hop on.
I recapped whatever I missed and was still disappointed by the finals. You know what? That has nothing to do with anything. I don't know what you're talking about.
We are digressing. We could have a Game of Thrones retro piece another time, and you could give your point. Dr. Jace, go ahead.
Oh man, I mean recommendations. I mean, is more or less repeating what everyone else has said so far.
That's all.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes. But I mean, like for me right now, like what I'm watching, I'm playing like a lot of catch up. Like, I dropped Attack on Titan like a couple years ago, and I heard recently it pissed off a lot of people, and I was like, oh wow, I kind of want to get manga readers, right?
Yeah,
and
manga, yeah.
yeah, and I caught up with the anime, so I'm like, oh okay, maybe if I read the chapters, I'll get pissed off too. So now I'm reading the chapters and I'm catching up. But yeah, like I'm watching like parts of season 5 of like My Hero. I really want to get into Jujutsu Kaisen because I heard some people really.
I was gonna say that.
People were freaking out. I mean, I don't like.
It's
again,
a great starter anime. It's a great like if you want if you're starting out and you want a high octane anime, with animation and fight scenes, Jujutsu Kaisen is a way to go. Like if you want to start watching anime, Jujutsu Kaisen it's gonna bring you in.
I will give it a shot. I will. I mean, it's on my list. But yeah, like for tear jerkers, I mean, Parasite made me bawl like a baby. That hit me hard. Code Geass. I mean, I kind of got into Code Geass late, but when I did, I liked it. It was pretty good. I could recommend it. Death Note. I would highly recommend that to anyone that's really into the I guess the strategic side of anime, because I think that was like a lot of the appeals that we saw early on when we made the shift to like, you know, from Dragon Ball Z to like a show like Naruto, because GrandMasterHoop even mentioned it earlier. It was kind of like the strategy, you know, when you saw Zabuza or Naruto appear as the windmill shuriken underneath, and he's actually throwing a kunai to free Kakashi. You know, that was like strategy in there. So
it's maturity.
Right.
Yeah.
So I would highly recommend that. And yeah, Demon Slayer is really good too. I know a lot of my recommendations are pretty much like a popularity contest, but it's what I'm watching right now. So yeah, I think
ain't nothing wrong with that. Ain't nothing wrong with that. Let's give it to Kame Chris. Kame Chris, I know this is how you spend most of your time when you're not doing other things.
Yeah, I would say as far as like anime, I was gonna say Jujutsu Kaisen, Demon Slayer. It depends on like what you're into. But if you want like if you're like just to go back on this, Nino, if you're into like RPGs, in video games, Sword Slayer is not. Do I say Sword Slayer? I'm so. Oh my gosh. Anyways, no. I'm like Sword Art Online is literally that's like one of my favorites, and that's only because I played RPGs like really heavy. So the idea of like being in it was situational for me. I would say I'm more of a situational type guy. So I like I don't know if anyone's read Ganzo or Gans. Like if no one's probably read that. You've probably seen the Netflix movie, but there's an entire anime and manga. It is, if you have not read it, you will love where it goes because you.
Did we lose him?
I think we lost him.
Maybe he'll come back.
Maybe we'll come. Oh, wait. Oh, there he is.
There he is.
Okay.
Repeat your whole last statement. Repeat your whole last statement. I think you're going on about Gans.
Yeah. I would say that's a really good one. If you want to read something, I'm like a manga reader for sure because I like to binge everything hardcore. So I would say Gans. Dr. Stone's a good one. A really good one if you like situational technical things. I would say reading, Jujutsu Kaisen's huge. My Hero, if you don't read it, I know Dr. Jace and GrandMasterHoop, they don't want to read it because
anime only.
Anime only.
No, but
anime's where it's at.
Yeah, but you are missing out on like way too much right now. Like I will say right now, the arc written in the anime of My Hero manga comes off a lot better. I'll just say that. But I would say more manga to read. There's like so much. Got a high school. Now don't watch the show. Read the manga. Like, do not watch the show. The show is not your time at all. I would only watch the show after you read the manga, and then you're like, okay, yeah, why did I watch this? It was okay, but they skipped so hardcore. But for, I would say, first time, those are good ones. If you're like into, really fast paced action, I would say, or like with technicalities, Jujutsu Kaisen, I would say as well, Hunter x Hunter. I know we've all said it, but to be specific about Hunter x Hunter, that is like one that I would say a lot of new people will, even if they've heard of it before, it's something to actually sit there and watch through from episode 1 all the way to the last one. And then if you have time, read it. Then you'll just get pissed off when you get to the last chapter because you have to figure out you're never going to get any more of the story. But
the story's never going to get finished.
Yeah, it's whatever. But I would say those would be my big ones to actually watch. Oh, Parasite, one of those I'm an emotional watcher, so I would say Parasite's one of those ones that you really got to watch. I wouldn't read it, but definitely watch. But yeah, if you're going to do any of those, I would say all of that we said. But yeah, Sword Art Online, I want to fight that one because that is really good for people that like RPGs. That's one of my faves.
Just rebutting the Sword Art Online, Log Horizon is better.
Yeah.
It depends.
Wait,
If you like action, Sword Art is maybe a little bit better. But if you like substance more, then Log Horizon is better. If you're looking just to chill out and not think, Sword Art.
I think that's fair. That's fair.
All right, I forgot to give this in my recommendation, but Full Metal Alchemist and Full Metal Alchemist Brotherhood, definitely a must-watch. Has the really good discussions about real-world issues and deconstructs them in a way, and is written by originally a female mangaka, which is like a very big thing.
Someone else might have said that. We still had 2 more people to go.
Has a good ending. Has an actually good ending. Because most animes don't have good endings. But yes.
Let's let Hooperlino. Are you ready?
Yeah, I'll go. Where to begin? Take the dive into One Piece. I know it's long, I know it's epic, but it is so rewarding from chapter to chapter. I don't think, or episode to episode. Once again, I'm a manga reader when it comes to One Piece. I don't think there is. I mean, there's just not any show, anime that can deliver time and time again with just like epic battles, epic moments that really make you feel, just funny gags. It's not, people aren't in love with One Piece because it's long. It's like people are in love with it despite its longness because it's so good. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know. That is just like a true storyteller, just telling such an epic work that we just may never see again. It's just insane what Ichiro Oda's doing with One Piece. So I just got to start by recommending to take the plunge if you want to watch the anime. By all means, just get through, get to the end of the Water 7 arc, which is probably about 400 chapters in or something like that. I'm not too sure. Just get through 400 chapters, and I promise you'll be hooked.
Maybe something more digestible.
No, it's worth it. It's worth it.
No, it is. It is. I always say up to Arlong at least. Up to Arlong.
Well, I fear people fall off at Alabasta. But the thing is, once you understand, once you understand what One Piece is a whole, you'll go back to that arc and you'll breeze through it because you kind of like understand the moving parts and like who's joining the crew and whatnot and what's really important. But for a first timer, I would say just get through Water 7, get 500 chapters in. You'll be satisfied. I don't know. Other recommendations. Ooh, I wanted to shout out Bleach real quick. I know Bleach didn't have a great run. I think it kind of falls off towards the end.
It's
but
coming
those
back.
Anime's coming back.
Coming back this year.
That's great. I mean, those early couple arcs, they're just like, it's like peak stylized, 2007? It's just so cool. It's so cool. I'm not saying it's like the best storytelling. I'm not saying it's like the action's pretty great, but it's just also so cool. Just like the way these characters move around, just the way they like Ichigo, like in terms of like, name a cooler protagonist. I dare you. Like you can name a better one. You might name like a more popular one, but like there's not a cooler protagonist than Ichigo.
Killua.
Who? No, not cooler. He's not. He's cool. He's
Yonkō
cool. No.
Monkey Luffy.
Absolutely not. Monkey D.
That's
Luffy.
from
Get out of here.
Berserk.
Luffy's a clown.
I love him, but he's a clown.
He's cool. He
Just
has
from
some
Berserk.
moments.
No, I mean Ichigo's just the man. Ichigo's the man.
Chico was based off of Guts, though.
Oh well, you might be right, but still, Ichigo takes it to another level with his high schoolness. All right, other recommendation. Princess Mononoke, just so good. I mean, if you want to see a master at work, like speaking of Ichiro Oda, like Miyazaki, I know a lot of people talk about him when it comes to Japanese anime. I've been working my way through each of the Studio Ghibli movies, and I mean, if you're going in order, once you Spirit Away comes after. But once you get to Princess Mononoke, you just see like everything come together. Everything he's doing with like Kiki's Delivery Service, everything he's doing with Totoro, just like it's everything from the adventure to the whimsy to just like these awesome, memorable characters. Just Mononoke is really great. And then I just wanted to spotlight. Ooh, I have a couple more. All right, so I'll spotlight some of the obvious ones that are out right now that I like. I like My Hero. My Hero's cool. I respect the kids for digging it. Demon Slayer, if you want to talk about like really stylized art, what they're doing in Demon Slayer is actually like, it's more than just cool anime. It's like cool animation. I also like the first season of Promised Neverland. I also really like Beastars. I know that's like, some people are turned off by Beastars.
The whole squad turned off.
Let me tell you, man, if you can move past the fact that like their animals having sex, which hey, big thing.
Cross species sex.
A lot of things, maybe a big hump for people to move past. But if you get past that, it's really exploring like what it's like to want to eat somebody you're in love with. It's really cool, man. It's actually really cool. I dig Beastars. There's gonna be one listener who takes this recommendation and fields me on this, so I just had to put that out there. And then the best theme song of all time, Shaman King's theme song. So that's all I got.
Shaman. Oh, English dub.
Yeah, he's definitely
English
talking about.
dubbed, for sure.
Yeah, that's the only good. That's the only right answer.
My brother used
Great
to
theme.
love that Shaman King theme song, wherever he may be. But well, again, I hope all the listeners took notes on these recommendations. Y'all really went in on them.
Wait, Grandma.
Very diverse. Yes.
I'm sorry. I gotta say this. I have to say this.
You're fine. You're fine.
Thank you. I appreciate you. I nerd out when I talk about anime. I get excited. Oh, if you get a chance, if you like Gundam, watch Gundam 00. It's very good. I mean, you got Gundam Wing, G Gundam, but Gundam, it's something different about Gundam 0000. Seven Deadly Sins was bullshit at first, but these last two seasons, and also because you mentioned God of High School, if you're gonna watch God of High School, go to Webtoons, watch Tower of God. Tower of God. So
Yes.
you might as well be watching an anime. And it's in color. It's beautiful. And it just came back. Watch. Okay. All right. I'm good. Ethan.
Okay. Hey, listen. That's okay.
Passion is
That's
there.
okay.
That's what we want.
That's why we invited them. That's why they are here today. And I think overall, this has been a great podcast. I'm just gonna go ahead and wrap things up, Dr. Jace. This is how I kind of wanted the recommendations to go, but I'm glad y'all gave your in-depth perceptions. I'm just gonna give you like my top 3 to recommend. Death Note, because it's very fun to watch. It's a cat and mouse game. Love Death Note.
The first half. The first half.
No, all the way.
A certain character dies, and I won't spoil it. That one character is half the show, and they do not.
You're right. I don't disagree.
They
but
try.
You have to finish it. So, I get it. But you have to finish it. Death Note is just a very fun movie to watch. Series to watch. Especially if you like mystery and very mature. Attack on Titan is very easy to get into. Again, episode 5. I'm always gonna recommend My Hero because My Hero is the most recent show that has put me to tears. Like, I've cried all throughout season 3 and season 4. I cannot really tell you why. It just moves me. It really moves me, and that is why Kame Chris, I will not read the manga.
Missing out.
I know, because
a lot going on.
Listen,
out right now.
Nino and I were at Barnes and Nobles earlier, and I looked at like chat volume 28, and I was like, "Oh, let me not open this up," because it seemed like a lot was going on. I was like,
You
oh my
get
God.
spoiled reading like 3 pages of any
I
chapter.
stopped.
You're like, oh,
Listen, I stopped. But definitely My Hero. I'm trying to think of things that made me cry. But I'm
Corey in the house.
Shut the hell up.
Kind of adding a little bit.
I love the Baxter arc. You didn't like that part?
Shut up. I'm so sick of it.
What are you talking about?
Enough. I'm trying to wrap this up.
I love the Washington prep arc.
Yes. Because that was the build-up.
Yeah,
that was
the
build-up
Washington prep
before.
arc was.
Come on, guys. Like,
People don't even get that. Some people get it, but whatever, it's fine. If you want to take the deep dive with One Piece. Take the deep dive with Naruto. I've definitely cried all throughout One Piece. I've cried many points in Naruto.
Don't do it with Naruto.
Yeah,
you will cry.
You'll be fine.
You will cry when you see Itachi admit the truth, the whole truth.
Well, then stop before the war. Stop before the war. If you want to talk about disappointing arcs, we can do the Ninja War.
We can do a Naruto deep dive another time. I feel we have brought up many ideas, but those are my immediate anime recommendations that come to mind because I've put people on to those specific animes, and of course, Full Metal Alchemist. I think, in my opinion, Brotherhood is definitely one of the, I would like to say, if not the greatest, just because it's over, I like to say it's probably one of the greatest, if not the greatest. And I see the dissenting looks. It is consistent. And I see your dissenting look, Kame Chris. We can get into this another time. I'm trying to wrap this up. All right. just all the way through it is great. Okay. Whatever. That's it for my recommendation. I'm not trying to take this any longer. But we have entered a new age. We have put out these recommendations for more people to come along we have laid out the work for more people to come aboard and bring along all their hopes and dreams. I don't know if anyone caught that. So, we said a lot of good things today. We have countered the subversive culture and made it more integral with society. We have recognized this as character-driven, artistic pieces that people are putting their heart and soul into, and that there is something out there for everyone. And you just got to take the chance, and you got to be open, as we all said. And if you need any more, idea of why this is so good, look to your celebrities, look to your friends. Just open the dialogue, and you'll see anime and manga is a world worth giving some time and investing in. So I would just like to say I appreciate everyone coming out here today. Even, I guess, our Admiral, who's, I guess, again, just hopped on board. Yes, but yes, again, very good discussion among us, Supernova and our Yonkō here. Dr. Jace, do you have any parting words before we close out on here?
No, I felt like we covered a lot of ground, talked about anime, and we really talked about anime. I'm looking at our timestamp. We really talked about it, but that's good.
Yes. Well, I'm trying to wrap it up.
That was that. Hey, that's what we invited everyone here for, and we appreciate everyone that came on board. Even the Admiral that is alongside us this one time.
Hopefully the last, but we shall see. But hey, Dr. Jace, if you got nothing more to say, I'll go ahead and close things out. Thank you everybody for listening into today's anime roundtable discussion. Again, follow us on Facebook, follow us on Twitter at Yonkō Table. Again, Yonkō Table. Again, this is season 1 debut. So, give us a like, give us a subscription, give us a review, share among your friends. Again, be open to listening to podcasts if you're not before. Well, hey, without further ado, I'm your host this evening, GrandMasterHoop, and with me as always is Dr. DrJaceAttorney. I'd like to thank and shout out Rose the Crafter, DrMondo, NinoDesplazado, Kame Chris, Tevin the Fifth, and I guess Admiral Hooperlino. This is the Yonkō Table. Signing off. Take care, everybody.